Jackson with you, awaiting the start of this opener for the three-game series. D-backs and Cardinals, the home opener at Busch Stadium, where they call it baseball heaven, but as we're learning, baseball heaven doesn't necessarily start on time.
I'm not sure they have clocks in heaven. It's always tough on opening day. A lot of festivities, a lot of former Cardinal greats and current Cardinal greats here in the ballpark, and they want to salute them properly, and the fans all dressed in red here at Busch Stadium 3. Even Adam Wainwright wasn't sure when to go down and begin to warm up just because of the uncertainty of the ceremonies.
Remember, the Diamondbacks played a 4-game series here last year, managed a 2-2 split. Robbie Ray and Adam Wainwright, first pitch, we promise, is next. Valley Chevy dealers.
Yeah, 6 of the 9 hitters that Wainwright will face tonight are going to be swinging from the left side, including the leadoff man, David Peralta, back in the lineup out in left field. Ketel Marte will be at shortstop. Paul Goldschmidt down at first base. A.J. Pollock cleaning up in center field. Daniel Descalso, the former Cardinal, getting the start here at third base tonight. Alex Avila will be doing the catching. Chris Owings at second base. Gerard Dyson out in right field, and the left-hander Robbie Ray on the mound.
And for the Cardinals, your Ram truck starting pitcher is the right-hander Adam Wainwright, making his season debut tonight. Just activated from the DL today after a left hamstring strain. Now 36 years old. He'll be 37 in August. His numbers here from last year.
An injury-shortened season last year for Adam Wainwright, although he did go 8-1 in 11 starts here at Busch 3 last season. He's a hometown boy. He likes to pitch in front of the hometown crowd.
Let's take a look at the Cardinals defensively. A look around the diamond is brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
That's Tommy Pham. He'll be out in center field, flanked by Marcell Ozuna in left. Dexter Fowler over in right field. Jairo Munoz down at third base. Paul DeYoung at shortstop. Matt Carpenter will be at second base with Jose Martinez over at first. Been a long time since you said anybody other than Yadier Molina is behind the plate for the Cardinals, but indeed that's where he is once again, catching his buddy Adam Wainwright.
Might be a while longer. He just got a new 3-year deal. Mike McClinsky is the plate umpire tonight, calling the balls and strikes. The crew chief Mike Winters is the first base umpire. Tim Timmons at second, and Rob Drake's at third. First road game of the year in 2018 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. The home opener here in St. Louis. The pomp, the circumstance, the bunting, the whole thing. Peralta steps in against Wainwright, and we are underway under the arch. Fastball's the ball. It's 1-0.
I wonder if sabermetrics are going to get a hold of opening day and eliminate the bunting.
No, we can't have opening day without bunting. It's like a rule. Two 2-0 on Peralta. David 304 had the day off yesterday. Homered against Clayton Kershaw Tuesday night. There's the Wainwright fastball. 2-1.
Now, Wainwright's fastball last year pretty consistently in the high 80s, occasionally touching 90s. Throughout the spring, they said he's been pretty consistently hitting 91, 92. He'll throw a sinker, he'll throw a cutter, he'll throw a four-seamer. His only real off-speed pitch is a breaking ball that you saw right there.
Dropped it in for strike two. With a fastball. Peralta's worked at full 3 balls and 2 strikes. Ketel Marte, the shortstop, on deck. Adam Wainwright said this week he feels very good. Able to get his pitch count up to 90 for that last couple of days of spring training. So arm strength wise, he's where he needs to be, he feels. Pitch count should be no problem tonight. All 4. Peralta's on base to start us off. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Yeah, I think this should be on every player's bucket list. Playing a home opener in St. Louis. They call it baseball heaven. They're very serious about their baseball here in St. Louis, and I think every player would enjoy one opening day here in St. Louis. I know Robbie Ray is. He grew up a Cardinals fan. This is his first ever home opener in this ballpark, or in any Busch ballpark for that matter.
They have 3 of them to pick from. Robbie, a Tennessee native. Ketel Marte 5 for 24. That's a 208 batting average. Munoz sneaking in from third. Breaking balls a strike. Ketel, couple of triples on the year. He's got RBIs in 3 straight games. Cardinals were taking no chances with Adam Wainwright. He said he thought they actually invented tests for him just to try and prove he could pass to make the ball club and show them that he was ready coming off that hamstring injury. At the time he was hurt, Wainwright really didn't believe the hamstring strain required a trip to the DL, but Mike Matheny said, look, when the MRI shows something, you don't have a choice. So they skipped him out the first week or so just as a precaution. The breaking ball, and it's 0-2. So Wainwright activated from the DL. That pushes the Cardinals rotation back a day. Michael Wacha was originally scheduled to pitch this game tonight. He'll pitch Saturday, off day tomorrow. And then Luke Weaver goes for St. Louis on Sunday. Developed there. Marte is safe. They eliminate Peralta, 1 down. He's he's had some wild throws down there. Martinez at first.
And maybe that's why he took an extra tick to throw that ball onto second base. Looked like he just couldn't find the handle as he reached into the glove to get the baseball right there. It popped out. Throws over the sliding David Peralta. And in the meantime, Ketel Marte reaches on the fielder's choice.
He had that exact same play, Martinez, in the opener, and he threw it into left field. So maybe a little skittish. Here's Goldie, 1 for 17 to start the year. Of 1 for 17 for Paul Goldschmidt.
Well, I guarantee Adam Wainwright's not paying any attention to it because he knows the kind of hitter that Goldie is. Every hitter goes through funks throughout the course of the season. Unfortunately for Goldie, it's starting on opening day. He is still taking his walks. He's still scoring runs, but just hasn't been driving the ball the way we expect Goldie to drive the ball.
He's already walked 9 times. That's tied for second most in the major leagues. 1-1. In fact, Goldie in the 3-game sweep of the Dodgers this week walked 5 times in that series. Still managed RBIs in each of the last 2 games. Slow breaking ball. Goldie lays off. It's 2-1. Goldie 4 for 14, couple of home runs in his career against Adam Wainwright. Fastball by him, 2-2. Wainwright has been the franchise. He is second on their all-time strikeout list behind only Bob Gibson, who was introduced on the field before the game tonight. 146 career wins. That's 5th most in Cardinals history. A.J. Pollock, the cleanup man, on deck. Fastball away, missed. Full count, 3-2. Mike Maddox, the Cardinals pitching coach.
He would tell you the good-looking Maddox.
Advantage push. Slow curveball, and Wainwright rings him up.
Well, we've seen it with Patrick Corbin. We've seen it at times with Robbie Ray, changing speeds on the breaking ball. That's the way Adam Wainwright has made his living the last couple of years, changing speeds on that curveball, making it a little bigger, at times making it a little sharper. That time Goldie just froze in his tracks.
Arte at first, 2 down for A.J. Pollock. 3-0-4. He's knocked in 4. Doubles up on that curveball. 0-1. A.J. has hit safely in 5 of 6 games to start the year. Tied for the National League lead. He's already got 4 doubles this year, not to mention a triple. Had a double yesterday in the win over L.A. Center field, Tommy Pham is out there. Robbie Ray back in St. Louis. Back after this. On this same Busch Stadium mound, July 28th last year, Robbie struck in the head by a line drive. He missed a month. He's back tonight. He struggled but won versus Colorado Friday in his first start of the year.
Yeah, the first time through the rotation plus Patrick Corbin yesterday. Robbie Ray probably had the poorest start of any starter, but came away with a win. Gave up 6 earned runs in 5 innings against the Rockies, but came away a winner.
Had trouble locating that fastball above all, so looking for more efficiency from Robbie. Dexter Fowler, the switch hitter, leads it off for the Cardinals. Really impressed by Fowler's horizontal sock game to start the series. He and Tommy Pham both have those stripes going. Fowler 4 for 26 with a homer. And you have to be careful here. He homered on the first pitch of the game from the Brewers' Chase Anderson Tuesday night in Milwaukee. The 24th leadoff home run of Fowler's career. .96 games in his career versus the D-backs. 11 homers. In with a fastball. 3-0.
You mentioned Robbie having trouble commanding his fastball in his first start of the 2018 season, and working with Mike Butcher in the bullpen between starts, they made some minor mechanical adjustments to Robbie's delivery out of the windup.
Tommy Pham, the center fielder, on deck. Anything noticeable from up here?
Well, trying to be a little more upright. Robbie got into the bad habit in that first start. He would take a quick step back, and when he would lift his right leg, he would lower his upper body down to his leg, almost kind of curling up a little bit out there on the mound. They want him to stay more upright, more erect.
Ketel Marte at shortstop. Ground ball out for Robbie Ray. Here's the Cardinals lineup tonight for their home opener. It's presented by your Valley Chevy dealer.
Dexter Fowler, the right fielder, makes the first out of the game for the Cardinals. Tommy Pham, the center fielder, making his way to the plate. Matt Carpenter will be at second base. Marcelo Zuna out in left field. Big Jose Martinez at first base. The veteran Yadier Molina behind the plate. Paul DeYoung at shortstop. Jairo Munoz at third base, and Adam Wainwright, the right-hander, on the mound.
Here is Tommy Pham. Fastball's a strike at 93.
You know, partner, the various services that chart pitches for Major League Baseball occasionally will misidentify, especially a breaking ball. But according to several different sources, Robbie threw 1 curveball last time out. He's already thrown more than that here tonight in the first inning to the first 2 hitters.
He went, says Mike Winters. It's 0-2 on Pham. Yeah, you're right, Bob. That curveball was his big game changer last year. Did away with a changeup, went to the curve for an off-speed pitch, and wound up having an all-star season. Alex Avila behind the plate tonight.
Yeah, the progression for Robbie back in 2016, he threw his curveball 5.5% of the time. Last season, 20.5% of the time. And as I mentioned, in his first start, only 1 curveball. A little odd.
Swing and a miss. He strikes out Tommy Pham. A look around the diamond. E.D. Marshall has the D-backs defense.
David Peralta will be in left field. A.J. Pollock in center. Gerard Dyson over in right field. A lot of speed out there. Daniel Descalso getting the start at third base tonight. Ketel Marte at short. Second baseman is Chris Owings. First base Paul Goldschmidt. And Alex Avila behind the plate for left-hander Robbie Ray.
And Nick Ahmed still a little under the weather. So Ahmed is off again. Marte at short. Owings at second. Dyson takes over in right. Here's Matt Carpenter, the second baseman. 4 for 20 to start the year. He's doubled and homered. D-backs have the shift on. 3 infielders on the right-hand side. Descalso, the former Cardinal, all by himself out there midway between second and third. Daniel got a big ovation when he was introduced here tonight. Member of their World Series clubs from a few years ago. We're fairly high up here in Busch Stadium 3. We're up there, not quite as high as the Arch, but there's Nationwide Vision Center's eye on the game. We can hear Robbie from way up here in full grunt mode. You can see where Descalso is now. Moves closer near the second base bag. 0-2 on Carpenter. Robbie Ray admitted tonight there might be a moment when he's standing out there on that same mound and he thinks, yeah, this is where it kind of happened. That comebacker July 28th last year, but he was quick to add he doesn't think it's going to be that big a deal for him. Let's hope that's the case. Let's hope that's the case. It was the Cardinals' Luke Voigt, that line drive off the bat, 108 miles per hour that struck Robbie Ray just above his left ear. And he was taken to the hospital. Remarkably, no serious injuries. He was out for a month. And he now wears a protective layer inside his cap that covers much of his head. You don't see it. He says it's not that intrusive at all. But it might help prevent serious injuries if such a thing were to happen again. This is lifted to left center field. Peralta over there. And Robbie Ray back in St. Louis. A 1-2-3 first. A good start. No score.
Born in '98, the Diamondbacks are champions of the West in 1999.
And it's time for our top of the order here on opening day in St. Louis. Ray's return. That's the thing we're watching right now. Nice clean inning for Robbie Ray. A ground ball, a strikeout, and a fly ball. You know, Robbie, as Steve and Bob mentioned, really was impressive in the way that he came back from that line drive and the ball that hit him last July. Not only on the field with the way that he bounced back with performance-wise, but the way that he shared his story with others, his church group, guys in spring training, to be an inspiration to others. And then another thing to watch, guys, depth being tested right now. We know Steven Souza Jr. is on the DL, Jake Lamb on the DL. And I asked also Torey Lobello about Paul Goldschmidt. One hit so far in the first 6 games, and he said, look, if you had told me that, it would be surprising. We're 5-1 right now, and Goldie is taking his walks. But this team has really had some unselfish at-bats and situational hitting that's been very solid, guys.
Hey, you're right, Jody. The depth will be tested on this 9-game road trip, Bob, as Descalso leads off the second inning. You could play, and it looks like there's a good chance you will, all 9 games without your 4 and 5 hitters, Jake Lamb and Steven Souza Jr.
Yeah, it may change the way Torey approaches the game a little bit more. Maybe look to steal a base here or there, play some hit and run, maybe bunt a runner up if necessary. The good news is, even though those guys are on the disabled list, the starting pitching has been so good. They've been able to hold the other team down, and we haven't missed the bats yet.
Played that exhausting game Monday night, and then it was the pitching, as you mentioned, that shut the Dodgers down the following 2 games of that series with Godley and Corbin, both terrific. Terrific pitching. Everybody's bundled up down there. Getting a little chilly. Sun's starting to go down. Sunday is the day. It's supposed to be 30 degrees and snowing here. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm thankful for tonight. It got up into the 50s today. It's supposed to be in the 40s by the end of this ball game, and we'll take that because it's going to be ugly this weekend.
Yeah, Torrey was telling us in his office before the game today, he's learned very quickly that this team is tough and sunny and chilly. Weather's supposed to get worse here starting tomorrow, but he feels like they'll be okay with the weather. Full count, 3-2.
Now this could be a little bit of a shock to the system for the Diamondbacks players. You know, they come out of the Cactus League playing in Arizona and start the season in Arizona. Climate controlled situation there at Chase Field. We had beautiful weather, the roof open, panels open.
Yeah, we're a little spoiled.
Yep.
No doubt about it. That fastball from Wainwright missed. Leadoff walk for Descalso, and Wainwright has walked the first 2 batters in each of the first 2 innings. Avila, the catcher now.
I would imagine Daniel Descalso was a good source of information for the advance meeting against Adam Wainwright tonight. The guy that played behind Adam Wainwright in his time here in St. Louis probably has as good an idea as anybody how to attack him.
Well, everybody's looking for good ideas against this guy. He has been one of the best for a long time. Avila 2 for 11 to start the year. He's walked 3 times. That 3-man catching rotation. Bob, everybody's seeing a pretty fair amount of time. It's worked out well for Torrey with Avila and Mathis and John Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, we know Jeff Mathis will be matched up with Zach Greinke probably every time through the rotation, but the rest of it is a very fluid situation right now, and everybody's getting opportunities. Everybody's getting rest.
It's a real luxury for Torrey Lovullo, and he's taking full advantage. But Alex knew the deal when he came here, signed a 2-year free agent deal. He wasn't looking to go somewhere and play 140 games. And he told his agent and other teams that were interested this winter, no issue being a platoon guy somewhere. For him, it's about finding the right spot and getting the opportunity to win. He thought he would have that here in Arizona. And it's becoming more and more popular, teams rotating the catching position using 2 or 3 guys instead of having one guy who catches all the time. Now we're at the great exception here with Yadier Molina, but there aren't too many of him around.
A little bit like the dinosaurs, those catchers that catch 145, 150, maybe more games every year. Not only because they're good catchers, but because they're offensive threats. Those guys are very rare now.
That breaking ball has been good for Wainwright, always has been. 2-2 now.
There was some concern about Wainwright. I mentioned in that injury-plagued season last year, his average velocity was under 90 miles an hour. And this is not a guy that's relied on velocity throughout his career anyway, but much like Zach Greinke in spring training, when that velocity starts to creep down, it's a red flag. Now, as I mentioned, he got the velocity back up this spring, was consistently at 91, 92. That last fastball at 90. And that should be good enough for Wainwright to work his way through opposing lineups if he's hitting his spots.
Well, he's already at 30 pitches. He's run the count full on 4 of the first 6 D-backs hitters. Owings on deck. Curveball, and he gets his second strikeout.
At least in the early going, it looks like Wainwright has much more confidence in that curveball than he does in the fastball. Every time he's had to work his way back into a count or try to put a Diamondbacks hitter away, he goes to that curveball.
That's been the moneymaker for a long time now. I still remember him back freezing Carlos Beltran, I think back in 06, right when he was the closer.
Yeah.
In the NLCS. Chris Owings, 333, 4 RBIs. The second baseman tonight. Nick Ahmed still under the weather. Descalso at third for the injured Jake Lamb against the righty Wainwright. You forget it. Wainwright is a big dude out there. He's a big boy. 6'7", 235. Long set that time. And that's foul. A new look for Chris at second base tonight. Owing started all 3 games in the Dodgers series in right field. And the big 9th inning homer that tied it up on Monday. Doubled and scored in the 2nd inning in yesterday's win.
It's a little bit like musical chairs between Nick Ahmed and Ketel Marte and Daniel Descalso and Chris Owings. You can just kind of move them around those 3 infield positions depending on your need on a given night.
That's where that depth that we talked about at the top of the show really comes in. Versatility. Fastball away is his strike. 0-2. Wainwright just a few years ago one of the most dominant pitchers in the league. 2013 he won 19 games through more than 240 innings. 2014 he was a 20-game winner. But he was injured for nearly all of 2015. Last 2 years mixed results, giving up a lot of base hits. Had surgery last October. They trimmed a little piece of cartilage from his right elbow. Second time in his career Wainwright has had to have that done.
Yeah, his average velocity in the first half last season was just over 90 miles per hour. In the second half it dropped down to 87.3.
That's big. Slow breaking ball fouled away. But it was a tremendous 5-year run from 2009 through 2014. Over that span he won 92 games. Finished top 3 in the Cy Young voting 4 times. Gerard Dyson, the right fielder, on deck. Two and two. Another full count for Wainwright. All 3 batters in this inning have seen 3-2 counts. 5 of the first 7. I think you're right, Bob. When he's been in trouble so far, he's gone to that curveball. Descalso takes off. This is hit deep to left field. Ozuna will play it off the wall. It's a double for Chris Owings. Second and third, 1 out for the D-backs.
It's a tough break for CO and the D-backs. Marcell Ozuna tracked that ball all the way back to the wall before turning around to play the carom. Very easily could have gotten by him and rolled back toward the infield, but he kind of tackles it up against the wall out there in left field. Right there, the ball came off the wall and hit him. Otherwise, I think Daniel Descalso has a chance to score on this play. When the ball bounced right back to Ozuna the way it did, Tony Parashika had no option but to stop Descalso at third.
Well, you've got 8-9 coming up with the D-backs order. Here's Dyson.
The pattern holding true for the Diamondbacks this season. In innings 1 through 3, they've scored 10 runs, hit 3 homers, 9 doubles, 2 triples, slugging .577 as a team.
Shock and awe.
However, innings 4 through 6, they've only had 2 extra base hits combined. That's exactly the opposite last year. Last year seemed like the Diamondbacks had trouble kind of getting onto the starting pitcher until the second or third time through the lineup. This year they're jumping them early.
Dyson's ahead early, 2 balls and no strikes. Wainwright is see the count right there. 40 pitches, only 21 strikes. And with the pitcher on deck, Robbie Ray, they'll go ahead and give Dyson ahead in the count already the free pass. So it's bases full now, 1 out for the pitcher Ray. Third walk issued by Wainwright. Robbie can swing it a little bit.
He was 0 for 2 in his first start this year, but we know he can swing it. Hang one of those curveballs.
Takes a cut at 1. It's 0-1. Cardinals bullpen, if you want to start thinking in terms of pitch counts and whatnot, like we just mentioned, the Cardinals bullpen is really short-handed right now. They got a lot of key guys injured. Nationwide Vision Center's eye on the game. Descalso at third. Owings at second and Dyson at first. Missed another fastball. That's not, just hasn't been able to locate that pitch where he wants it so far. 1-1. Curveball's not there. 2 balls and 1 strike. Mike Malinsky not biting back there.
Well, and he shouldn't bite on that one. That curveball that starts over in the right-handed batter's box and just misses the outside corner to a left-handed hitter is never in the strike zone.
Or was that fastball, and it's 3-1. Skipper Mike Matheny. Three balls and 1 strike to Robbie Ray. Center field for Pham. Descalso at third. Here he comes. The throw is into shortstop. Owings moves up, and the D-backs take a 1-0 lead.
Nice at bat by Robbie Ray right there. Finally got a pitch he could drive into the outfield. Tommy Pham had to leave his feet and jump to make that catch out there just to the right of center field. That allowed Chris Owings to also tag up and advance.
Wainwright is really working. He's got 2 outs now. Peralta with runners in the corners. 45 pitches so far to get 5 outs. 27 in this half inning alone. David walked to lead off the ball game. Peralta has it safely in 3 straight games and 4 of 5 this year, including a 3-hit game in the opener against the Rockies. That one rolls through into right field. Owings is home. It's 2-0. Dyson flies into third. RBI knock for Peralta.
Finds that hole on the right side. Little cut fastball that stayed up over the heart of the plate. Shoots it right by Gerard Dyson on into right field. Keep the line moving.
Linking at bats. That's a phrase that Torrey likes to use a lot. Here's Ketel Marte. Boy, I'm not sure he can throw a strike with a fastball right now.
I think some of that could be a result of the second half of the season last year when, as we mentioned, his velocity fell off so drastically. I think he was afraid to throw his fastball in the strike zone.
That can't be a good feeling for a big league pitcher, no matter how experienced you may be.
And it isn't just the fact that hitters are mashing your fastball. It's just that you just can't hit your spots the way you want to. You know, normally if you've got confidence in a 92-mile-an-hour cutter into a left-handed hitter at the hands, but it lacks 3 miles per hour in velocity, it's probably going to get hit. So to combat that, he scoots it out a little bit more out of the strike zone, hoping to get hitters to chase, and when they don't chase, then he falls behind in the count.
That's been happening consistently. 50 pitches now for Wainwright. 26 strikes, 24 balls. Mike Maddox, the pitching coach. He's already walked 3 once intentional. Dyson's at third, Peralta's at first, and 2 runs are in. Here's the chopper to second. Carpenter collects it. And Wainwright is finally out of the second, but the Diamondbacks take the early lead. They lead in St. Louis 2-0.
Great. Another dead end.
Sarge. Run RBIs by Robbie Ray and David Peralta, and giving the Diamondbacks a 2-0 lead as we start the home half of the second in St. Louis. And the dangerous Marcell Ozuna, the cleanup man, will lead it off for the Cardinals. Their prize offseason acquisition. The former Miami Marlin, one of the best players in the league. 269, a home run. He has struck out 10 times in 26 at bats so far this year. Ozuna's highlight has been this Tuesday in Milwaukee. 479 feet, second longest in Miller Park history. Almost hit the back wall of the dome out there in left center.
I think it was the highlighter yellow sleeve he was wearing on his right arm tonight, going with the home white.
He borrowed that one from Yoenis Cespedes. There's a little ground ball into center, a leadoff single, first hit for the Cardinals. And here is Jose Martinez. Martinez homered on opening day against the Mets at Citi Field. 364 on the year. He is an enormous human being. 6'6", 215.
He's a big target over there at first base. I know that.
Waving that bat around in there. That can't be comfortable for Alex Avila. This guy's got a big wingspan.
Boy, for a big guy, he has a lot of moving parts, as you can clearly see, pumping that bat up over his head, behind his back, moving his feet. Most of the time, big guys like to just be very still in that box, let the ball travel, and then use your leverage to create some power.
Martinez, the first baseman, last year with barely any major league experience, came up as a 28-year-old rookie and hit .309 with 14 home runs in just over 100 games with the Cardinals. Yeah, he's got ants in his pants or something. Big waggle. He's already got a pair of 3-hit games this year. Jose Martinez. Fastball's a strike, 2-1. Always a good sign based on the way Robbie looked in his first start this year when he throws a strike with that fastball.
Especially in a hitter's count like that. It was a good fastball, outer third of the plate and down.
Yeah, the last start against the Rockies Friday, he was consistently missing up and away with that fastball to right-hand batters. Missed away that time. It's 3-1.
Now, granted, it's a new season, but something to keep an eye on moving forward here. Last season, the Cardinals runners were picked off 15 times, the most in the majors. Tommy Pham was picked off 6 times by himself. On the other hand, Diamondbacks pitchers picked off 18 runners, second most in the majors, only to the Cubs.
It's chaos. Full count, 3-2. Martinez almost fell over taking a cut at that one.
And that was particularly concerning to the Cardinal fans. They're so used to playing the game the right way and being fundamentally solid, not making mistakes to beat yourself. And the Cardinals did a lot of that last year.
Yeah, Mike Matheny took a lot of heat last year for the way this ball club played. A lot of sentiment around here that maybe it was time for a change.
Bring back Whitey. That's usually what they say when the manager gets in trouble here in St. Louis.
The great Whitey Herzog. Full count, 3-2. A single and a walk start the St. Louis second, and here comes Yadier Molina. Molina off to a red-hot start this year. 261 already with 3 home runs. And yesterday in Milwaukee, he jumped on a first pitch from Jhoulys Chacin and went deep upper deck and left at Miller Park.
Now, granted, it's very early in the season, but Yadier Molina looks like he's trying to pull the ball more this year. Even some of his outs have been hard hit balls to left field. This is a guy that up until a couple of years ago was a slap hitter, singles hitter, spray the ball all over the ballpark. He's still likely to do that, but looking to pull the ball a little bit more in the early going.
Robbie with a 2-0 lead, but he's in trouble quickly. 2 on and no out for Molina. Yadier Molina last year did not hit his 3rd home run of the season until his 31st game. But he's got 3 homers in 6 games this year, so you must be right. Well off the bag. He started heading toward 3rd with that secondary lead. Owing sneaks in from 2nd.
Those numbers I gave you just a moment ago about Cardinal runners getting picked off base last year, and believe me, Torey Lovullo and his staff are well aware of that as well. I'm sure part of the advanced meeting today was to emphasize to the pitcher to keep an eye on those runners. Sometimes their mind drifts when they're on the bases, and take advantage if you can.
Here's Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. That's the trouble we were mentioning a moment ago. Robbie trying to throw a fastball to a right-hand batter, and Mike Butcher sees it right away. That was a consistent problem against the Rockies in his first start this year, missing with fastballs up and away to right-handers.
Got a good sense for the moment here. We know that teams have been trying to save these mound visits early in the ball game so they can have them in their back pocket later if necessary. But clearly Robbie Ray struggling a little bit here to start the second inning. The leadoff base hit to Ozuna, then a walk to Martinez. Now you've got a dangerous hitter at the plate. You've got a home run hitter and Paul DeJong behind him. Got to get control of this inning right here. Don't let it slip away.
And talking to Torrey before the game, he said one of the most important things for Robbie tonight was to define the strike zone. Dot that fastball all around the edges and not sort of spray it all over like he did last week. But he's behind on Molina 2-0. Center field, Pollock comes in. Everybody has to hold one down. The dangerous Paul DeJong. Big year last year as a rookie, and this season off to a sizzling start, tied for the National League lead in hits. Batting .455 with 3 home runs. Ozuna is the runner at second, Martinez at first.
You could win a lot of bar bets. Who hit their first 28 career home runs fastest in Cardinals history?
Not Albert Pujols.
No. Guy at the plate.
Paul DeJong.
1 game shorter than Albert Pujols. 114 games to hit his first 28 bombs.
25 of those coming last year. A Cardinals record for home runs by a rookie shortstop. DeJong showed up here in St. Louis for the minors at the very end of May last season. Homered in his first career at bat. And after starting out at second base, he had taken over their everyday shortstop job by the end of June. There's that Robbie Ray curveball, 1-2.
The slower curveball, the off-speed pitch that he features.
Same problem with that fastball. Up, up, up. And DeJong is not a patient hitter. He is up there taking his hacks. Last year, only 21 walks and nearly 450 plate appearances. Another one missed its full. Jairo Munoz, the third baseman, on deck. Got the pitcher spot behind him. 3-2 on DeJong. Robbie 30 pitches, only 15 for strikes.
Yeah, it is a little puzzling that Paul DeJong is hitting this low in the lineup. He hit third in the Cardinals lineup in 51 of his 108 games last year, but hiding down in that 7-hole here tonight.
Ten hits and 22 at bats to start the year. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Got him. Big strikeout for Robbie. 2 down.
DeJong's susceptible to breaking pitches, and he swings right over the top of that hard slider from Robbie Ray.
2 on, 2 out. Jairo Munoz, 1 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. His first look at the big leagues this year. They are without Jed Jerko. Jerko is injured and on the DL. He's got a right hamstring strain, so tonight it's Munoz at third. Again, same spot with that fastball, missing up and away. Munoz originally signed out of the Dominican Republic in 2012 by the Athletics and acquired by St. Louis in December. That was the trade that sent Stephen Piscotty to Oakland. Munoz just 23 years old. One and one. Robbie a nice clean 1-2-3 first, but he's really had to work in the second. One and two. If I only had 5 big league at bats, it's just me now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't back out of the box shaking my head like that.
Umpires just love that.
Yeah, there's Mike Malinsky back there, probably thrilled.
I don't think umpires ever care if you turn around and say, are you sure that wasn't inside? You know, you start shaking your head and throwing your arms in the air.
Avila will collect that one. Robbie Ray.
Good meeting.
Single and a walk. You called it. 3 straight outs. He strands 2. It's still 2-0 D-backs.
And everyone in the world hears him the 4 days in between.
He's just like Archie and Peralta. He's just loud.
Definitely one of the most locked-in starters I've been around.
Hey, if that's what gets him locked in, he can do whatever he wants.
I'm curious what he does at home with his wife and his kids and what he does to them on start days, because he doesn't say much to us when he's at the field.
He's known in the clubhouse as Big Game Bob Ray. Chatty as anything when he's not pitching, but on Ray Day, he is locked in.
A lot of pitchers have been like that throughout the course of their careers. Nothing wrong with it.
Paul Goldschmidt leads off the third against Adam Wainwright. 2-0 D-backs here in St. Louis. Goldie sends one out to center for Pham. One away. Goldie 0 for 2. That'll bring up A.J. Pollock. Who was the guy when you were catching? I don't even I don't even need to ask you about RJ because I know the answer there. But when you were catching, who was the most like that, the most intense, don't talk to me, I'm pitching kind of a guy?
Well, I'd have to think about that a little bit. We had some pretty good natured guys, Donnie Robinson and Mike Krukow, and before that, Vida Blue. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I would have to probably go with Doyle Alexander.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I caught Doyle my first home start at Candlestick Park, and I've told the story many times. I had no idea what he was throwing. I didn't know what signs he was using, and a little overmatched the first couple innings. But Doyle was very, very serious about his craft. I don't recall that he was stone-faced and wouldn't talk to his teammates, but you knew which day Doyle was pitching.
Boy, he's watched him pitch back in the day for all of the Tigers and Blue Jays and on and on. He pitched for everybody. He just had that veteran, crafty pitcher vibe. He was going to figure out a way to get you out. And anyway, with the signs, he would do the backside Jimmy 1-2 pump, minus and plus, or something.
I had just come up from the minor leagues, and you know, down in the minor leagues, it's first sign or second sign or first sign after 2. It's very simple with a runner at second base. That one popped out of play. So I had gone down to warm up Doyle. There's John Smoltz on the left, Bob Costas on the right. Went down to warm him up before the game and caught the warm-up pitches, and we're walking back to the dugout, and he looked at me and said, I'm going to use 2-5 pumps. I'll add above the waist and subtract below the waist, and turned and walked away. I had no idea what he was talking about. It might as well have been in another language.
And he saw John Smoltz working MLB Network TV just to our left here. He was traded for Doyle Alexander back in the day. Tigers and Braves. 1-2 on Pollock.
But any catcher will tell you that's a scary feeling when you start hanging fingers and the pitcher shaking his head no, and all of a sudden he starts his windup and you don't know what's coming.
Here's Paul DeYoung, the shortstop. Throw pulls Martinez off the bag a bit, but they record the out, 2 down.
Not easy to pull Martinez off that bag.
You're right, it's 6-6. Yeah, a lot of guys these days, these starting pitchers, they come in, they got the headphones on, and they're looking down at their feet like a prize fighter about to go into the ring.
You knew who used to get that way from time to time, and we had to kind of talk him out of it, was Matt Williams. Matty Williams would go sit at the end of the bench and have that 1,000-yard stare, just looking at that opposing pitcher on the mound, waiting for his at-bat.
Daniel Descalso. Now, how do you have that conversation? Carefully.
Very, very carefully, because obviously Matty took the game as seriously as anybody that ever played it.
Yeah, still does.
They didn't call him the Big Marine for nothing.
Descalso walked and scored his first time up, the former Cardinal back in town. There's a strike. Descalso, 2 World Series appearances as a member of the Cardinals. Big role in that 2011 World Series champ. That was the last one. They've had a whole bunch, 11, I believe, right?
Yeah.
There's the Tim McCarver years. McCarver inducted into the Cardinal Hall of Fame before the game today. Bob Costas did a big introduction. They had all the mucky mucks down there. Bob Gibson and Lou Brock, Ozzie Smith, everybody down there wearing those red sports jackets. And there is Tim McCarver. Dan McLaughlin on Cardinals TV. Full count on Descalso, 3-2.
Tim McCarver and Bob Gibson hooked up 197 times for the Cardinals. I mentioned that Wainwright and Yadier Molina in their 238th start together.
Descalso able to check on the curveball, and that's the 4th walk issued by Adam Wainwright.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run tonight means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink. Yeah, I guess for Gibson and McCarver, we'll have to add 1 to their total since they threw out the ceremonial first pitch. Gibson to McCarver here tonight.
Only seems fair. They put on quite a show when they have the home opener here. Avila's due to just pop one out of here. Sooner or later, it's going to just come out of nowhere. He struck out his first time. Remember, he homered his first D-back at bat, I think, against the Reds out Goodyear this spring. Wainwright already at 65 pitches through 2 2/3. Cardinals and Diamondbacks last year played 7 games. 4 of them were decided by 1 run, so it was a close series. D-backs split 4 games here last season, 2-2. They scored only 5 runs, but won twice. Two balls, 2 strikes on Alex Avila. Chris Owings hoping to get a chance. CO doubled and scored his first time up tonight. Dropped that curveball in there. Wainwright went back to it. He strands the 2-out walk. D-backs have a 2-0 lead. With you, Bob Brenly, Jody Jackson with you. D-backs hold a 2-0 lead of the Cardinals. And fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, don't panic. You can stream them live on your mobile device. Use Fox Sports Go. It's presented locally by your Valley Honda dealers. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona. And the D-backs with you wherever you go. The view from Ballpark Village across the street here. That's quite a complex they put together out there. Restaurants, hotels, bars. There's a TV studio. Brew house. They have rooftop seating out there. Adam Wainwright, the pitcher, leads off the 3rd. They're expanding that. I see a whole bunch of cranes out there. More construction.
Yeah, it took them a while to get started on Ballpark Village, but once they got started, they've added something new every year. It really is quite a gathering place for Cardinal fans before and after the ball games.
Big social area. There's more construction going on behind it, but there you see the rooftop seating, the brew house there. Fox Sports has a TV studio, and there's the rooftop seats. It's a good place to hang out during the day if you're here early for a night game. Go down there, have some lunch. And it's a good view of the ballpark. You're just right across the street. Not a bad seat right there. What do you think Cubs fans think of their arch rivals creating their own rooftop seating?
Oh, I'm sure they're not crazy about it. The Cubs and Cardinals, they don't like much of either that the other guy does.
There's a lot of what you might call animosity.
You think? Say those Cubs-Cardinals series, whether it was in Chicago or down here in St. Louis, it was almost like a Friday night football caravan. You know, you'd see all these cars from Chicago headed south on 55 coming down here to St. Louis for a series in the Lou, and same thing in reverse. Cars headed north to Wrigley Field when the series was up there.
The Midwest's great rivalry, Cubs and Cards. Foul tip. Avila hangs on, and Robbie Ray is now struck out 3 in a row.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Leadoff man Dexter Fowler grounded out his first time up tonight. Skies one to right center. AJ drifting back there.
Visibility is still pretty good right now, but in the next inning or two, we're going to get that gray, dusky time of evening where the lights haven't fully taken over yet, and the sky is just a little bit darker than it is now. That's when it's tough for the outfielders to track those fly balls.
Yeah, kind of an odd 6:15 local start time here in the evening. Tommy Pham, a strikeout victim in the first. Robbie has walked 1, he struck out 4, and he's retired 5 in a row.
You mentioned Tommy Pham off to a pretty good start. He went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in the opener this year for the Cardinals, but he's 8 for 21 since with a homer, scored 6 runs, and stolen 2 bases.
Yeah, hit safely in every game since opening day, 5 in a row. How about those socks? Horizontal stripes rarely work out, no matter where they are on the body, in my experience. 1-2. Robbie's starting to settle into a rhythm now. Tempo is always so important for him. Talking with Mike Butcher about that before the game today. Butch didn't quite like Robbie's tempo in the start against the Rockies. Maybe a little too drawn out, a little slow. Wants to pick it up just a bit. And it's a lot easier to do that with no runners on base.
And Tommy Pham was the first Cardinal since '04. Reggie Sanders to hit 20 homers and steal 20 bases in a season. And he's the only Cardinal to do it while hitting 300.
Fastball is in there. Called strike 3. 5 strikeouts for Robbie Ray. 2-0 D-backs in St. Louis. The Archie Bradley audio bobblehead, courtesy of Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Collect yours Saturday, April 21st, before the D-backs game against the Padres at Chase Field. Visit dbacks.com. Chilly down there in the bullpen for some of these D-backs relievers. Although I don't imagine you have any sympathy, having hung out in the Candlestick Park bullpen for years.
Oy.
Chris Owings leads off the Arizona fourth.
At least for part of the time I was with the Giants, we had the penalty box.
What was that?
It's a little wooden plywood shack that had a plexiglass window in the front of it, and you could fit about 6 guys in it. So if you wanted a seat, you had to get down to the bullpen early.
Do some ice fishing down there. It's amazing how far we've come in terms of facilities. To hear you describe, you know, Sun City with the golf cart parking in a fence and a wooden shack out in the bullpen. I mean, it's amazing.
It really is. I mean, we jokingly at times say state-of-the-art ballpark, but the reality is, compared to what guys in my era and before played in, they're all state-of-the-art.
Now the shacks, as you saw, reserved for the camera people here. Well, you had it rough in your day.
Well, we had AstroTurf too. Not a Candlestick, but at other ballparks. Ugh.
Here, one of the bushes.
Yeah.
Breaking balls is striking. It's 2-2.
I'm pretty sure that it was invented by an orthopedic surgeon.
Keep business going that way. And plus, you could melt on it here in the summer.
Brother.
Here,
yeah.
Cincinnati. Barry Larkin used to tell horror stories about the turf at Riverfront. Just got a piece of that curveball. July, August, Cincinnati, St. Louis, sizzle. 130, 140 down in the field.
You sit over in the dugout and look across the field, and you know, you've all seen Western movies where you can see the heat rising off the desert.
I see that at home in the front yard.
Yeah, that too. Well, you can imagine what it looked like coming off the AstroTurf when it was 100 degrees outside.
Like an old Western.
Well, as much of a dump as Candlestick Park was, it was my dump. I mean, that was the first place I played in the major leagues. First big league clubhouse I walked in as an official player, and it'll always have a soft spot in my heart, but it doesn't take away from the fact it was a dump.
They have a slightly nicer ballpark there now.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be there after this visit. The road trip continues in San Francisco. That gets by Munoz and DeYoung. And Owings is 2 for 2, a leadoff single.
Could this be one of those bottom of the lineup rallies? Chris Owings with that leadoff single in the 7th spot. More speed at the plate in Gerard Dyson. Love to see him get on ahead of Robbie Ray.
And you'd love to see the Diamondbacks with Wainwright clearly not sharp or at his best already at 75 pitches. Take advantage of that and put some more runs up on the board. Dyson was ahead 2-0. Got the free pass his first time up. Pitcher Robbie Ray on deck. Munoz in from third on the grass. Dyson shoots one down the line, but that is foul. Going to need a new bat. Dyson tripled opening day against the Rockies. And a leadoff double and scored the game's first run yesterday to help complete that sweep of the Dodgers. And Bob, you've already pointed out a few times how his speed has changed the game for the Diamondbacks. It's palpable. You can see it from up here.
Well, certainly the opposing teams understand what Gerard Dyson brings to the table. Seeing the defenses play way shallow, respecting the bunt and also respecting the speed. The middle infielders play shallow when Gerard Dyson's at the plate.
Nationwide Vision Centers eye on the game. You see Munoz at third, well in on the grass. Martinez holding Owings on the bag at first. Another foul ball, and it's 1-2. Dyson was asked about that aggression on the bases, using that speed. He says, that's what we do, baby. Get him over, get him in. That's his game.
I'll tell you what, guys that run fast, they always, to me, look faster when they wear white shoes.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Sends this one out to Ozuna in short left field, 1 away. Now here's a question that must come up all the time. You got a guy on first, 1 out, the pitcher up. Do you bunt him over and hope for a 2-out hit, or try to stay out of the double play, or do you just hope he swings away?
For me, it all depends on the ability of the pitcher swinging the bat. And we talked about Robbie in his first at bat. He handles the bat pretty well, can usually make contact, usually put the ball in play. I hate to give up outs ever unless you absolutely have to, but for me, I let him swing here.
Robbie had an RBI sac fly his first time up. It went out to center field. Squares to bunt, pulls back, takes ball 1. Both corners charging for the Cardinals. Oh, look down to Tony Perez-Chica for the sign at third.
Yeah, and just because he was bunting the first delivery doesn't mean he's going to bunt again. Get that Cardinals defense all jacked around. First baseman and third baseman are charging. The shortstop and second baseman are way out of position as the ball is delivered. Take a hack at it, try to find a hole.
2 balls and no strikes. Wayne right now over 80 pitches, and there's activity in the Cardinal bullpen. He has not been sharp tonight. He's walked 4. He's got 3 strikeouts. Behind on the pitcher, 2-0. Now Robbie drops down a bunt. Right back to the mound. Wainwright has 1 play. Carpenter covers, and they move the runner along.
Hey, fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
So now you've got Owings in scoring position, and you'll hope for a 2-out hit by David Peralta, who has walked. He's got an RBI single. Matt Bowman warming up at the Cardinal pen. Cardinals bullpen really short-handed right now. Mike Matheny missing 3 key arms down there. Cardinals did what everyone was waiting for them to do, sign a closer. There's Bowman. Greg Holland got a 1-year deal after leading the league in saves last year, but he didn't sign until March 31st. So Holland is still working out at the Cardinals minor league complex in Jupiter, Florida. So there's no Holland. Luke Gregerson is out with a hamstring strain, and Brett Cecil has a left shoulder problem. He went through an extended dead arm period in spring training, Brett Cecil. So to say the least, Mike Matheny short-handed back there. One and 2 on Peralta. So David, with that RBI single in the second, has now hit safely in 4 straight games and 5 of 6 this year. He has given Torey Lovullo the energy that Torey hoped for by having Peralta hit leadoff. He's been a tone setter. One and 2.
This is the Diamondbacks' 7th game this season. David has hit leadoff 6 times, and in the first at bat of the game, he's reached 4 out of those 6 at bats. 2 hits and 2 walks.
And yesterday off. Ketel Marte batting second tonight. Owings at second and 2 outs. Peralta hits it hard and by Carpenter into right center. That one's going to roll all the way to the track out there, and the freight train has an RBI double. The D-backs have a 3-0 lead.
Ball was smoked. Only a couple steps to the right of Matt Carpenter, who barely had a chance to react as that ball shot through into the gap in right center. David really barreled that one up well.
Boy, 2 out RBI knocks go a long way.
Well, we hoped this would be a bottom of the order rally when Chris Owings led off with that base hit, and David Peralta makes it come true with his 2-out knock into right center.
And now Ketel Marte will try and tack on another one. 0 for 2. Chopper. DeYoung has to charge. Close play at first, and Martinez pulled off the bag.
You were talking about just a moment ago in reference to Gerard Dyson, what speed will do to the game. It forces Paul DeYoung to hurry his throw here, coming in on this high hopper. Got rid of it quickly. However, his throw is high, pulls Martinez off the bag. Diamondbacks still have it cooking with 2 outs in the inning.
They ruled out an error. Pulling the first baseman off the base. Marte reaches. Mound visit time for Mike Matheny. That's it for Adam Wainwright. D-backs lead at 3-0 in St. Louis. Back after this.
Hola, amigos.
St. Louis threatening more here in the 4th. Fans, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB at Bat Premium, which lets you watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Diamondbacks, good start so far to this road trip. In the Cardinals home opener, they've knocked Adam Wainwright out of the game. And here's the right-hander Matt Bowman. His 4th appearance this year. Last season, he led the Cardinals with 75 appearances.
After a rough start this year, he's given up 4 hits and 3 runs in 2 2/3 innings. He's a fastball, slider, split finger pitcher.
Diamondbacks have a run in. 2 outs, Peralta at third, Marte at first, and here's Paul Goldschmidt 0 for 2. Goldie has struck out, lined out to center. Off to a 1 for 19 start to the year. Goldie, despite that struggle, 1 for 19. As always, patient as ever. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position this year, but he's taken 5 walks in those situations, so he's not expanding the zone at all, just because there are runners on base. Bowman fires a fastball in there. 2-1. D-backs with a pair of 2-out RBIs tonight, both by David Peralta from the leadoff spot. A single in the second and a double here in the fourth. Look out. Peralta's already dirty enough, and he's hearing it from the dugout. Everybody's got the parkas on, the hoods, the winter wool caps, mittens. It's not that cold right now. It's not too bad here. Gonna get worse, we're told. 2-2. 2 on and 2 out. Won't chase. Good example right there. 3-2. A.J. Pollock would be next. A.J. 0 for 2 so far. Popped up behind second. Carpenter's over there. And that's the end of the inning. Diamondbacks add a run. They lead it 3-0.
In the third inning, they lead the Cardinals 3-0 as we head to the bottom half of the fourth. Time to take a look at this day in baseball history, brought to you by Geico. April 5th, 1998. Every Diamondbacks fan knows this. The D-backs won their first game in franchise history after dropping 5 games to start the season. They beat the Giants 3-2. Andy Bennis, 7 strong innings, gave up only 3 hits. Matty Williams had 3 knocks. And I guess it's coincidence. The assistant hitting coach for the Cardinals is Bill Miller, who accounted for both Giants' runs in that game with 2 solo homers against Andy Bennis.
Matt Carpenter leads off the St. Louis fourth against Robbie Ray, who had a little bit of a skittish start to the second inning, but since then has retired 6 in a row. We saw Andy Bennis in our booth at Chase Field, and he said that he would be here in St. Louis. Haven't seen him yet. Pitched for the Cardinals for a long time, of course, as well.
His convertible probably hasn't made its way into the ballpark yet.
Where do they find all those cars?
I don't know.
Even like the assistant trainer gets his own car. They drive him out to the bullpen, and they drive around the warning track and onto the infield. Carpenter flied out to win the first. Robbie so far has walked one. He's got 5 strikeouts. Not fighting himself and his mechanics as much as he was last week against the Rockies, but he's not looked super comfortable out there. But he has settled down nicely after he gave up a single to Ozuna and a walk to Martinez to lead the second. Missed with another fastball. It's 3-1. Everything Robbie does works off fastball command, so if he doesn't have that, he's really got to come up with plan B. The dangerous Ozuna on deck and Martinez behind him. 3, 4, and 5 due up in the Cardinal fourth. Robbie right at 50 pitches. He loses Carpenter to start the inning. Ozuna has St. Louis's only hit, a single up the middle. This guy is a package of tools. Power, arm, speed, hits, you name it. Not a whole lot he can't do. And the Cardinals able to acquire Ozuna. In his prime, he's already a 2-time All-Star, and he's in his age 27 season this year. Coming off a monster year in Miami last season. Traded to St. Louis as part of the Marlins fire sale back in December for 4 players. Way up in the air behind shortstop. Marte drifting out there. That's a big out to get. 1 away. Jose Martinez. He walked his first time up back in the second inning. I like that steel drum walk-up music. Martinez, a native Venezuelan.
Yeah, we documented Martinez, how got happy feet in that batter's box, swinging that bat around as he's waiting for Robbie to deliver the pitch. Guys like that, I used to try to make my pitcher wait a long time before delivering the ball. Let him tire himself out pumping that bat back and forth and making dance steps in the right-handed batter's box.
I know a guy we see all the time who does that, as you point out, is Nolan Arenado, the Rockies. Kind of grinds that bat into sawdust up there waiting to swing.
And that left foot starts open the way Martinez is and gradually closes up.
Martinez, with his size at 6'6", the way he waggles that bat. There's a lot going on down there. He's all legs up there too. Those are some long legs on Jose Martinez. Robbie having trouble locating behind 3-0. Molina, who's homered 3 times already this year, is on deck. Finds the strike zone with a fastball up and away. 3-1. Just consistently with his fastball. Third walk of the ball game and his second in this inning. 2 on, 1 out for Molina. Matt Carpenter at second, Jose Martinez at first. Molina flying out to center his first time up.
Yadier Molina, consistently, annually, one of the leaders in the National League in grounding into double plays.
Well, this is the spot to get one. Fastball up and in is a strike. It's 0-1. I still wish we could find a way to get you a neck tattoo. Put a fish on there or something, a slice of pizza. A fish eating a slice of pizza.
Go. I was just going to go there.
Our producer Brad the Big Dog Weimer has a guy in San Francisco. We can hook that up. I'm not sure what would inspire someone to get a neck tattoo, or 2 of them for that matter. That's pretty intricate right there.
Boy, that's some very, very tender skin right there. I mean, there are places on your body I think I could tolerate getting a tattoo, but I'm not so sure about on my neck. Ooh.
Good music notes on there. There's sea monster something. Robbie at 60 pitches, only 32 for strikes. 1-1. Another fastball for a strike. 1-2. Working inside to the right-hander Molina. The dangerous Paul DeJong is the on-deck hitter. D-backs have out-hit the Cardinals 4-1. They lead at 3-0.
You saw that little motion right there by Alex Avila behind the plate. Put his hands side by side and went up and down, telling Robbie to stay more vertical. We talked about the crouch that he was pitching out of in his last start. Mike Butcher felt that perhaps that was affecting his command. They wanted him to stay more upright, and Alex Avila just with a little reminder there before throwing the ball back to the mound.
That's something you would notice as the catcher?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whether you notice it in the delivery itself, you certainly notice it in the action and location on the pitches.
That's a fair ball down the left field line. Parham's off the seats out there. Carpenter will score easily. Martinez in at third. An RBI double for Yadier Molina gets the Cardinals on the board. Boy, that kicked off the seats out there and just died along the left field line.
Something to file away for future games here at Busch 3. That ball hit right down the third baseline, and much like Fenway Park where the stands stick out, that ball hits and ricochets back. It doesn't go all the way down into the corner. David Peralta had to run a long way to get to that ball.
Now the tying runs are in scoring position. 1 out for DeJong, who struck out his first time up back in the second inning. That was just the second hit for St. Louis. Got the call that time from Mike Malinsky, 0-1.
Robbie electing to pitch out of the stretch with runners at second and third. He could very easily go to the windup if he chose to, but maybe that's part of the issue. He's having some trouble with his windup tonight. Maybe he feels more comfortable pitching out of the stretch right now.
They mentioned DeJong is not a patient hitter, a guy who will strike out like that. Last year, 124 strikeouts, a Cardinals rookie record. He punched out his first time up tonight.
On that same pitch that Robbie Ray just threw him, that hard slider that starts on the inside part of the plate and then dive bombs toward that back foot.
0-2. That same problem up and away with a fastball. Not a bad time to do it on 0-2 though. Martinez, the runner at third. Jose Kendo coaching down there. Molina at second. DeYoung has hit safely in all 6 games this year. He had a 2-homer game at Citi Field in New York on Sunday. Called strike 3. Got him looking that time. 6 strikeouts for Robbie. 2 down.
DeYoung usually comes out of his shoes swinging at fastballs. Might have been spooked by that early slider in this at bat, and the one he struck out in the first at bat just took that heater right down the middle.
Here is the rookie, Jairo Munoz. Struck out to end the second. 1 for 6 in his major league career. He's punched out 5 times. 23-year-old rookie playing third base tonight. They are without the injured Jed Jerko. Good start for Robbie. Fastball up though. 0-1. The sheriff. No, not Andrew Chafin. They have an actual sheriff back there here in St. Louis. Ryan Sheriff, the left-hander. Pitcher spot up next. Harrison Bader is in the on-deck circle for the Cardinals. He would hit for Bowman. Long run headed for no man's land, and it's in foul grounds. No way Goldie or Dyson were going to get to that one.
It just wasn't hit hard enough or high enough for either Diamondback defender to get underneath that one. Just a little blooping foul ball down that right field line.
There is no foul ground along the outfield lines or in the corners, but there's a fair amount of it in the infield here at Busch Stadium 3. Robbie had 2 strikeouts to end the second. With 2 on and 1 out, he got to DeYoung and Munoz. You can do the same thing here to end the 4th. Ahead of Munoz 0-2. At that one in the dirt. Avila finishes off the play. 7 strikeouts for Robbie Ray. He strands 2. Cardinals get 1. It's 3-1 Diamondbacks. lead the Cardinals 3-1, set for the 5th inning. D-backs fans, you can stream live D-backs games on any of your mobile devices with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the D-backs with you wherever you go. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, Jody Jackson here. The opener of a 9-game road trip. 3 in St. Louis, 3 in San Francisco, 3 in L.A. for the D-backs. And they have a 3-1 lead as A.J. Pollock starts the 5th against Matt Bowman. A.J. 0 for 2. He has flied out, grounded out. Pollock, Descalso, Avila 4, 5, and 6 in the Arizona 5th. Cardinals off to a 3-3 start. They just took 2 of 3 in Milwaukee. Big series win for them in the NL Central against the Brewers. Cardinals would have swept at Miller Park, but they blew a 4-0 lead Tuesday, lost 5-4. St. Louis got a 10 strikeout game from Carlos Martinez last night. Martinez went 8 1/3. Here's the skipper, Mike Matheny. Martinez really struggled in the opener at Citi Field in New York, but boy, he was dynamite last night.
Haven't seen that from A.J. Pollock for a long time. Showing bunt right there with Munoz playing very deep at third base. Of course, A.J.'s had some experience as a leadoff hitter.
Batting clean up tonight. That one got Mike Malinsky back there. Staggered him.
That pitch running in on A.J. kind of has to fight it off. Just gets a piece. Part mask, part chest protector that time.
And now the Cardinals trainer will come out to have a look. Mike Winters, the crew chief, has come in from first base to check on Malinsky. Rob Drake over from third. Tim Timmons from second. I like how umpires are predisposed to stand in terms of which base they have that night. They never break formation. How many fingers do you see? Tuesday.
17.
All right, they're having a good laugh down there. That's a good sign.
That's good to see. Yeah, fortunately not a direct hit, as I mentioned. It kind of caught the side of the mask and then the left shoulder protector as it glanced off the mask. Still didn't feel real good, but fortunately not a direct hit. He's going to stay in the ball game.
It'll probably feel great tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So it's a full count on A.J. 3-2 to start the 5th. Yadier Molina back there. Got to do something about those shin guard straps.
Yeah, he's got some dangling tendons there.
This is hit to third for Munoz, the rookie. Took him a while to get a handle on it. A.J. almost beat it out. Munoz took some time there before he threw the ball.
Thought he was going to run it across the infield and tag him. A couple of extra crow hops here. Makes a play off the heel of the glove. Couldn't find the grip. Took about 3 crow hops and then just fired an absolute missile across the diamond just in time to get A.J.
1 out for Descalso, who has walked twice and scored a run. Daniel in there at third tonight. Jake Lamb on the 10-day DL with that shoulder problem. So tonight it's Descalso at third, Owings at second base, and Dyson in right. Marte at shortstop with Nick Ahmed still just a little bit under the weather. Nick's been sick this week. Sat out the last 2 games against LA. Not in the lineup tonight. Let's go down to Jody.
Daniel Descalso, we know how popular he is here in St. Louis. He was popular on the flight last night, too, just polling the clubhouse. Everyone really enjoyed his jacket.
Did he have a funny look? I don't remember his. Yeah, that looks like a GQ cover right there.
Yes, it does.
That looks good. That's a big leaguer right there. Zach Godley representing as well. 3-0. I thought you looked fabulous. You had the horse blanket going.
Horse blanket, yeah. That's what Mike Morgan used to call it. He had the same sports coat, I think, every year of his career. You know, you wear it, you wad it up in a ball, throw it in the overhead bin, you drag it through the hotel lobby, throw it in the closet, put it on again on travel day.
Well, Bowman got the high strike call there from Malinsky. Full count, 3-2. And the idea was for the first road trip of the year, dress like you were going to the White House, because hopefully that'll be the last road trip of the year after we win the World Series. This is hit pretty deep to center. It backs up Pham, still backing up at the track at the wall, and it's off the base of the wall and rolls back toward the field. Descalso digging for third, and he is in there standing up with a triple. Boy, that really carried over the head of Pham.
And much like Ozuna in left field earlier in the ball game, Pham chases it all the way to the barrier, but this time it hits the wall and gets by Tommy Pham. That allows Descalso to end up at third base with only 1 out in the inning. Right there, hit the bottom of the wall, shot away from him. By the time Ozuna can run it down, Descalso's on third base.
His first triple this year, a chance to add to the lead now. Alex Avila, the catcher, has struck out twice. Alex 2 for 13 to start the year. Tell you what, this place was raucous for the pregame ceremony, a home opener here at Busch Stadium, and it is awfully quiet right now.
Well, that was my second key to the ball game tonight. Take the crowd out of the game. They were all fired up here very, very early this afternoon.
It's amazing how many people tailgate at these games. Of course, people come from all over the Midwest to go to Cardinals games, and some of them have very long drives, and so it's not uncommon to see people tailgating at the baseball games here.
Yeah, there was one right outside my window at the hotel.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. Guy out there with a Winnebago.
Yeah.
Blasting sports talk radio all day long. That was great. Here's a look at the defenders for the Cardinals. 2-0 on Alex Avila. Took something off, 2 balls and 1 strike. Matt Bowman, a busy guy in that Cardinal bullpen last year. 75 appearances. That was tied for 3rd in the National League. He's been busy again this season. Fastball is down at the knees for a strike, 2-2.
A little bit of a fake from Molina behind home plate that time, that he was going to pick down at third base. Something you always have to be aware of when Yadier Molina is behind the plate. 62 pickoffs in his career. He's had as many as 9 in a season 2 different times, although he did not have 1 last year. The only year of his career without a pickoff. I think the word's gotten around.
Well, it took a while. 2-2. Avila goes down on strikes for the 3rd time tonight. 2 down in the 5th.
Good curveball, a lot of down action that time.
Here's the red-hot Chris Owings. He has doubled, singled, and scored twice, 2 for 2. Descalso at third and 2 outs. Diamondbacks have had already tonight a pair of 2-out RBI hits, both by David Peralta. David singled with 2 down in the second, doubled with 2 outs in the fourth. But now it's up to Owings. Chris has now hit safely in his last 6 games. Off to a terrific start this year. Batting an even .400. Way outside for Molina. 2-0.
And we saw Jose Martinez for the Cardinals and had a little fun with how active he is with his bat pumping behind his back and his feet moving all over the place. Contrast that with Chris Owings. He's very still in that batter's box. Little waggle of the bat, that's about it.
It's amazing how many variations you'll find. Everybody seems to do it differently.
You know, we've said it many times in the past, regardless of what you do before that ball is delivered, once it is delivered, most good hitters are in a very, very similar position. Doesn't really matter what you do right now while Molina's giving the signs. What matters is what you do when that pitcher lets the ball go.
And one missed, down and in. 3-1 with Jarrod Dyson on deck. He walked him. Owings aboard for the 3rd time tonight. Dyson has walked and flied out 0 for 1. No one warming up at the Cardinal bullpen. They're on the corners with 2 outs for the D-backs. Bowman struggling with his control. So far, more balls than strikes. Two 2-0 on Dyson. Yeah, 30 pitches, only 13 for strikes for Matt Bowman. Descalso at third, a 1-out triple. Owings at first, a 2-out walk. Tapped by Martinez. Bowman's got to hustle over there. And they just do get Dyson at first. We'll head to the home half of the 5th. D-backs lead the Cardinals 3-1. Friendly Jody Jackson here. D-backs with a 3-1 lead over the Cardinals as we start the bottom of the 5th inning. And we mentioned how this was the dress code on the flight out here after the game yesterday. Dress like you're going to the White House. There's Torey Lovullo. I told him he looked like Orville Redenbacher there with the bow tie. He didn't really like that too much. There's the sheriff, Andrew Chafin. Everybody looked good.
Yeah, look at that.
Team photo in the clubhouse. Off we go, hitting the road to St. Louis after this, San Francisco and L.A. Harrison Bader off the bench to bat for the pitcher Bowman to lead off the Cardinal 5th. Yeah, Bader has had only one at bat all year.
Just about to say, partner, when we did make our trip to the White House after the 01 World Series, Mike Morgan wore a Mickey Mouse Donald Duck Letterman's jacket. So when we got the notice from Roger Riley, the director team travel, to dress like you're going to the White House, I was going to go out and search for a Mickey Mouse Letterman's jacket. Now, there are pictures of Mike Morgan standing behind George W. Bush in the White House wearing his Mickey Mouse jacket, but I didn't think I better push it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of implications there. 2-0.
As a matter of fact, the plane that we flew here to St. Louis from Phoenix was the same plane that the traveling party flew from Phoenix to Washington, D.C. on that trip to visit the White House.
Which was 17 years ago. The plane we will share with the Houston Rockets NBA team. It's configured for NBA players, so there's a whole lot of leg room on the plane, except, of course, where you and I sat.
Where we were sitting.
Up against the coat closet. Crunched up in a ball on the floor.
That's where the point guards sit in the NBA.
They have to. That's fouled straight back up here, and it's full on Bader, 3-2. Bader, 32 games with the Cardinals last year. His first look at the big leagues. 23 years old. He was the Cardinals minor league player of the year last season. Belted 20 home runs with AAA Memphis. Yeah, I don't know how we drew those seats. You got to talk to somebody about that. You're supposed to have some pull around here. Very little. Well, that's the 4th walk issued by Robbie Ray. He led off the 4th with a walk to Carpenter. Now he walks Bader to start the 5th. Here's Dexter Fowler. Bader can run a little bit. Stole 15 bases at Memphis last year. He's a Florida Gator. 3rd round pick by the Cardinals 3 years ago in the draft. There's that slow breaking ball for a strike. Fowler has grounded out, flied out 0 for 2. Speaking of the Cubs and Cardinals rivalry, he came here last year from Chicago. Jumped the fence, went to the other side. Won a World Series ring with the Cubs, and then last year got a 5-year, $82.5 million deal from St. Louis. And last season as a Cardinal had a career high 18 home runs.
Well, backing up a few years before the Cubs got good, Ryan Theriot went from the Cubs to the Cardinals, and boy, he made some enemies in Chicago very quickly. Said, I'm finally on the right side of the rivalry. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
The Riot, that's what his last name spelled, the Riot. Start one saying things like that. But you know, a little animosity is good for a rivalry. It should be that way.
That's what keeps rivalries going. Yeah.
You don't want to get ugly or nasty or anything, but some animosity, not a terrible thing. Gives the series a little juice. Fowler laying off these breaking balls, 2-2. Robbie at 80 pitches. pitches. He has struggled with his control again. Only 44 strikes. He has walked 4, struck out 7.
And his spot's due to lead off in the top half of the next inning. So, you know, Torrey would love to get him through this 5th inning with a lead if at all possible. Pitch count still reasonable at 80 right now.
Tied him up with a fastball. 8 strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
Good to see Robbie drive that ball to the inside corner. He's missed so many times up and away to right-handed hitters with that fastball. Really good to see, and hopefully foreshadow more good things, pounding it inside there to Dexter Fowler.
He has struck out Tommy Pham twice tonight in 2 at-bats. The Cardinals' number 2 hitter. Wasn't sure how Tommy Pham was going to be received here for the home opener. He was the subject of a very good Sports Illustrated feature that's out right now, looking at his road to the major leagues. He said a lot of somewhat controversial things about the Cardinals and having to spend so much time in their minor league system without getting called up. He was pretty frank about how he felt. He's angry, and still is. But he got a big ovation here from the crowd. On the ground to Marte at shortstop. They get 1 and 2. Boy, just what the doctor ordered right there for Robbie Ray. Through 5, it's 3-1 D-backs. D-backs in St. Louis. Fans at Chase Field this year will have lots of fun giveaways. Be sure to get your tickets. The Archie Bradley Audio Bobblehead coming up Saturday, April 21st. Followed by the Kids Bat and Ball set April 22nd. Cinco de Mayo Sugar Skull t-shirt, D-backs tote bag on Mother's Day. All kinds of stuff going on at the ballpark this year. So visit dbacks.com. See all the promotional items and promotional schedule. The Sheriff is on for the Cardinals, not Andrew Chafin. This is the left-hander Ryan Sheriff. He has twice been a AAA All-Star at Memphis in the Cardinals minor league system. They gave Brett Cecil a whole bunch of money last year, but Cecil has had a dead arm and a shoulder problem, so Sheriff comes on, the left-hander.
2-pitch guy, sinker, slider, hard sinker in the low 90s.
What do you think about Robbie Ray taking the at-bat here to start the 6th inning?
Well, I mentioned his pitch count's in real good shape.
Almost a wild throw there by DeYoung.
But I thought perhaps with the off day tomorrow, you could use some bullpen tonight if you felt you needed to. Maybe he would pull the plug on Robbie after 5, but he's going to send him back out there again.
Well, the Cardinals in the home half of the 6th inning will have the big boys coming up. Carpenter, Ozuna, Martinez, 3, 4, and 5. So it looks like at least part of the next inning coming up for Robbie Ray.
Well, the fact that the big boys are coming up in the 6th means they're probably going to come up one more time before the ball game ends. So
that's Archie Bradley territory. Yep. David Peralta's had a terrific night. He walked to lead off the ball game, had a 2-out RBI single in the 2nd and a 2-out RBI double in the 4th. David is off to a sensational start this year, batting .360. He's now hit safely in 4 straight games and 5 of 6 this year. David's attitude about the season fits with his leadoff role. He was saying over the weekend D-backs are going to set the tone, let other teams know, hey, you better be ready for these Diamondbacks. Because after what they went through last year, winning 93 games, getting into the postseason, this is a D-backs ball club that Peralta says does not fear anybody. They've got a good pitching staff, some great position players. They can hit, they can defend. And Peralta has been the tone setter in a lot of ways. Especially with Goldie struggling and Souza out. Jake Lamb hurt now too. It's been the supporting cast that's gotten the job done at the plate. Gerard Dyson's had a nice spark. John Ryan Murphy is homered. Ahmed's had a great start. Mathis had the walk-off. Chris Owings is off to a real good start. Everybody chipping in. This is going to be a tricky play for Carpenter. Close play at first, but they get Peralta.
Foreigner congratulations are in order for Adrian Beltre from the Dominican Republic. The third baseman for the Texas Rangers got 2 hits in the ball game today. The first hit passed Rod Carew from Panama for the most hits by a player from Latin America, and the second hit was number 3,055 in his great career, tying him with Ricky Henderson on the all-time hits list.
Wow, he's got as many hits as Ricky Henderson.
23rd on the all-time hits list.
Ketel Marte. Just don't touch his head. No. That's all he asks. It's going to be funny when he has a plaque at Cooperstown, Adrian Beltre. People will walk up and rub it on the head, I guess, just to drive him crazy.
Boy, watching Beltre and Elvis Andrus on the left side of that Rangers infield, that's a show. I mean, every pop-up that goes up to the left side, you're not quite sure who's going to catch it. They stand there side by side. They both look like they're going to catch it. At the last minute, one of them will peel off and the other guy will make the catch.
It's a game of pop-up chicken.
Yeah.
Cardinals bullpen is busy. Former D-back great Dominic Leone is down there. That one off the leg of Sheriff, and it rolls into left field. Marte's aboard, and they'll check on the Cardinals lefty. That one was a shot right back up the box.
Yeah, it looks like Sheriff's going to be okay. Fortunately for Ketel Marte, after the ball hit the Cardinals pitcher and went right through that 5.5 hole on the left side of the infield.
Well, you've got Goldie coming up. You've got the right-hander Leone in the bullpen. Here comes Mike Matheny. Here's another look.
That shot back to the box, a one-hopper. Like it hit him on the shoe, and you could see DeYoung was breaking towards second base, and it went right through that hole on the left side.
I like how Sheriff pointed to the ball. It's over there. When you take a pitcher out of the game, it does not count as a mound visit, by the way, if you're keeping track at home. We'll take a break in St. Louis. right-hander Dominic Leone called on to face Goldie with Ketel Marte at first and 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Leone had a rough night the other night in Milwaukee. Came on 4-3 lead, 2 outs in the 9th inning, and gave up back-to-back home runs to lose the game. Yelich and Braun back-to-back homers, and they walk it off.
Yeah, that was the same ball game that Dexter Fowler and Tommy Pham both homered to begin the game, and Yelich and Braun homered to end the game. The first time that had ever happened in Major League history.
That was just 2 days ago, and here is Dominic Leone again out of the Cardinal pen. Goldie 0 for 3. You know, looking at the numbers, Leone actually last year had a pretty good season pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays. 65 appearances, 81 strikeouts in 70 innings. That was not the guy we saw as a Diamondback a few years ago. That's going to get into seats and out of play. Goldie off to a 1 for 20 start to the year. I told you Goldie would be 1 for 20 and the Diamondbacks were 5-1. Would you have believed me?
No.
Yeah. That tells you something about the supporting cast here and the starting pitching.
And 2 of your other people in the supporting cast are on the disabled list. Souza and Lamb.
Your 4 and 5 hitters. Yeah. Steven Souza Jr., the news is very encouraging. He's been throwing and swinging lately. Did so the other day, so he's close. Don't know if we'll see him on this road trip, but that's going very well, which is a big relief. 0-2 on Goldie. This one will trickle into right field, a base hit. Ketel Marte on the run in for third, and he's there. Second hit of the year for Paul Goldschmidt.
That's good veteran hitting right there. Where's the weakness in the defense? It's on the right side. Martinez holding on Ketel Marte at first base. There was a big hole on the right side. Most teams are going to pitch Goldie away anyhow, so he just stays right on it. Little 99 hopper through that right side will chase Marte around to third base.
I forget who the player was. It was an older player asked what he would bring to the new ball club, and he said, I think I can bring a lot of veteranism.
Veteranism.
Yeah, so that's good veteranism right there. AJ 0 for 3. DeYoung at shortstop. Bottom 6th on the way. 3-1 D-backs. Diamondbacks. They have a 3-1 lead in St. Louis, bottom 6th. Built for Baseball, presented by T-Mobile, the best network for streaming baseball, because your stadium should be where you make it. Tall order for Robbie Ray here. He'll have to work to Matt Carpenter, Marcell Ozuna, and Jose Martinez. 3, 4, and 5 in the St. Louis 6th inning. Carpenter has flied out, walked, and scored a run. He's 0 for 1. Robbie already now at 84 pitches. And no one warming up at the D-backs bullpen. Here's a look at the defensive shift for Matt Carpenter. Diamondbacks will leave the shortstop Ketel Marte where he would normally play, although he's in on the grass. Descalso, the third baseman, in front of second base on Tim Timmons. Fastball's a strike, 2-1.
Yeah, nobody throwing in the Diamondbacks bullpen yet, but a few bodies starting to stir around. I see a couple of jackets coming off.
They've been huddled masses down there yearning to breathe free. Another fastball gets away from Robbie upstairs, and he's behind 3-1. So far, Robbie has walked 4. He struck out 8 tonight. Matt Cook, the right-hander, was called up right after the Monday marathon game, trying to give Torey Lovullo some length back there in that bullpen.
Called up from Reno, where this would be a heat wave this time of year.
I think they have their opener today, actually, Reno. Carpenter trying to bunt his way on, but it's foul away from the shift. Saw some of those pictures of the Aces on the Twitter.
Yeah, Reno has their opening day today, as well as Jackson in Double-A, Single-A Advanced Visalia, also Single-A Kane County opening their seasons tonight.
Joe Brand on a call again for Kane County, our friend Joe, doing Kane County Cougar Radio. That Visalia team, they got some names on that team. That's a minor league club to watch this year. There you go. No, says Rob Drake. A leadoff walk. Robbie Ray has now started the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings, all with a base on balls. And here's Ozuna. He's walked 5. Ozuna singled in the second, popped up his last time up. Cardinals still have only 2 hits. High fly ball. Deep left field. Peralta has room. Carpenter at first will go halfway to second and come back.
Ozuna's just gotten under a couple balls in this game. That one to the warning track to David Peralta. He hit a mile-high pop-up back in the 4th inning that Ketel Marte caught out in shallow left field. Just a little bit under it.
He's going to do some damage here. There's no doubt about that. Now 90 pitches for Robbie. 50 strikes. 1 out for Jose Martinez, who has walked twice.
Well, Marcell Ozuna, one thing that hasn't changed, he's a very aggressive hitter. He's seen 5 pitches in 3 at-bats.
That sounds about right. Martinez takes a hack at a first pitch fastball up in the zone from Ray, and it's 0-1. Martinez, another guy preaching the benefits of a flatter swing. Keep that bat path in the zone. Get behind the ball more, he says. He has one rule. Ground balls are not allowed. That's his rule. And he's a 6'6", 215, so I won't argue with him. But he likes to wait a little longer on that ball and kind of push through using his bottom hand. All about bat path and swing plane.
Well, that's a good thought, no ground balls, but there's a lot of really good sinker ball pitchers in the National League. It's going to be pretty tough to keep the ball off the ground all summer long.
1-1. Good location on that fastball. Caught the corner, down and in. A ball and 2 strikes on Jose Martinez. Yadier Molina, who had an RBI double his last time up, is on deck. Carpenter at first, 1 out. Takes a big swing at the 2-2 and strikes out. That's 9 for Robbie Ray.
It's not the location you'll usually get strikeouts with a breaking ball, but he gets Martinez to swing right through a belt-high slider up and out over the plate.
Well, Bob, you get the sense with Robbie missing the way he has been both the last week and tonight that it seems like it's a little mechanical tweak. He's close, but he's not quite there yet.
And that's not unusual early in the season. Even the best of pitchers, sometimes coming out of spring training, they're not quite where they need to be as far as finessing their way through an opposing lineup. Hitting your spots, changing speeds, all the things you need to do to be effective that will come as he gets more starts under his belt.
Molina already with 3 home runs on the year. Takes ball 1. He has flied out to center. He's got an RBI double. St. Louis still with only 2 hits against Robbie Ray. He's walked 5. He's got 9 strikeouts. Approaching 100 pitches. Center field, AJ. Nicely done by Robbie Ray. Strands the leadoff walk. Goes through the heart of the order there. It's still 3-1.
Descalzo set to lead off the 7th, and Jake Lamb obviously on the DL right now and talking to Troy Lavello today. He said, look, Jake is just doing some range of motion exercises right now, still looking to be pain-free. So just waiting for more news on Jake Lamb as he progresses. As for Steven Souza Jr., guys, you kind of touched on it, progressing very well, actually. Took some swings in the cage. He's going to continue to do that and seems to have no problem throwing. So it could be the end of this trip or maybe more likely the start of the next homestand, but it looks to be sooner rather than later for Steven Souza Jr.
Yeah, that's great news, Jody, especially I was there at Salt River when Souza dove for that ball against the Giants, and boy, it looked terrible. You thought, okay, that's a labrum, that's a rotator cuff, that's the season. It looked bad. And the news on Steven has been just terrific. Daniel Descalso leads off the 7th against former D-back great Dominic Leone. Descalso tripled off the wall in center his last time up. He's also walked twice today.
Well, knowing the way Steven Souza Jr. approaches everything else in the game of baseball, you had the feeling that this rehab was going to be something that he attacked to get back on the field as quickly as possible.
And the D-backs likely, as we mentioned earlier, will go through this road trip without their usual 4 and 5 hitters in Lamb and Souza as Descalso strikes out to start the 7th. It's not going to be easy. All games on the road. The Cardinals, the Giants, the Dodgers, all good teams. Missing some key bats as Yoshihisa Hirano starts to warm up in the D-back bullpen. Bottom third of the order due up for the Cardinals in the home half of this inning. Alex Avila 0 for 3. He's punched out 3 times. Shoulder injuries, from what they tell me, pretty problematic. There's all kinds of complicated mechanisms in there. You've got Souza with a shoulder, and now Jake Lamb as well. Was that your experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many small muscles in there. We talk about the rotator cuff. It's actually 3 different muscles that go across the top of your shoulder there, and so many things can go wrong. It's just an instinct when an outfielder dives for the ball. You put your right hand out there to protect yourself on the dive, and unfortunately just landed awkwardly. Same thing with Jake Lamb at third base. Same thing with Souza out in right field. Fortunately, Souza's wasn't a shoulder injury, but very easy to happen. That joint is not meant to be thrown around the way we do in the game of baseball.
Here's a good field level look from our director, Brian Moss.
Or as Ron Santo used to like to call it, the Rotary Cup.
Huh?
Well, Ron came from a day and age in the game of baseball where you had a sore shoulder. Now you can have labrum issues, you can have rotator cuff issues, and the first time Ron heard rotator cuff, he misunderstood it to be Rotary Cup or something like that. Made us laugh.
And a strained Rotary Cup. 2-2, a fastball there from Dominic Leone. Alex trying to get it going this year. He is 2 for 14 to start the season. Never in any hurry. Kind of strides into the box, gets comfortable. And he strikes out for the 4th time tonight.
Early in the count, Alex is able to lay off some tough breaking balls. But unfortunately, with 2 strikes, he tends to expand his zone a little bit. Chased a bad one that time.
Another big night for Chris Owings at the plate. CO doubled and scored in the 2nd, singled and scored in the 4th. He walked his last time up. Now hitting .400 on the year. He's hit safely in each of his last 6 games. It was kind of like that for Chris Owings last year. Started out red hot. And then it was right here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, end of July. Tried to lay down a bunt against then Cardinal Lance Lynn. And fractured the middle finger on his right hand. Had surgery the next day. And then another surgery on that finger in November. So we'd like to have Chris for the whole season this time if we can.
the way this ball club is configured this year, especially with the early injuries, a guy like Chris Owings that you can play in right field one day, second base the next, shortstop the next, third base, wherever you need Chris Owings, you can put him on the baseball field. Very important to keep him healthy while the other guys are on the DL.
It's a role that more and more teams seem to have a guy that works. And with these, you know, big bullpens, you need guys like that on the bench. But just look around the league. Jose Ramirez in Cleveland and Marwin Gonzalez with the Astros, and Pat Vallejo, we see him all the time in Colorado. Kike Hernandez, Ben Zobrist, just guys that can play infield, outfield.
Well, even here to a lesser extent, Matt Carpenter. He's played all the infield positions at one time or another for the Cardinals.
Plays a different one every year, it seems. That's by Leone, and Carpenter is there behind the bag. He's got no play. Owings aboard for the 4th time tonight with his 3rd base hit. A chance for Gerard Dyson now. That's the 7th hit for the D-backs. Dyson 0 for 2 with a walk. Dominic Leone had sensational numbers out of the Mariners bullpen a few years ago. Diamondbacks acquired him, and it just never found the same form with the D-backs. And a good year last year with Toronto, and now he's in St. Louis.
This is one of those moments for a manager, Troy Lavello, waiting to see what happens here in the Dyson at bat. You got John Ryan Murphy in the on-deck circle to hit for the pitcher. A lot of things can happen here. If Dyson happens to make the last out of the inning, and you want to bring Hirano into the ball game, you're probably going to have to make a double switch, even though Hirano is just a one-inning guy.
Close at first. Jose Martinez telling his dugout, check that one. I think we got him.
Now, Mike Matheny would have never known to check this play without Jose Martinez alerting him.
Now, you're supposed to get, under the new pace of play guidelines, 10 seconds to decide if you want to challenge, and yes, they will challenge. So Martinez making a case for himself here. We'll put the headsets on and check with New York. Winner's the crew chief and first base umpire. Here's a look.
Seal leaning just a little bit. I don't know. You got the hand on the tag, obviously high on the back of Chris Owings as he goes back in on his belly.
I'd take a pick.
It was tough to tell. Cardinal players are starting to walk off the field after they saw the replay on the big board here at the ballpark.
Yeah, the outfielders getting a head start on that long walk. I don't know. We haven't seen anything that would be clear or convincing. I'm not sure this is worth getting the call correct. These weights.
Yeah, I mean, it ought to be. Yeah, they're going to call him out.
He's out of there. They saw something in New York, and the call is overturned. We stretch in St. Louis's 3-1 D-backs.
Cholula hot sauce is
last year, and he looked very good for the most part tonight. Kept the Diamondbacks in the game. 6 innings. He walked 5, struck out 9, gave up only 2 hits.
Yeah, the real key for Robbie tonight was what he did when Cardinals had runners in scoring position. They were 1 for 6 when they had men in scoring position against Robbie tonight. Pitched himself into and out of trouble all night long.
Our Chaz Roberts, cool, plays of the game. Yoshihisa Hirano on to work the bottom of the 7th inning against the bottom of the Cardinal order. DeYoung, Munoz in the pitcher spot, 7, 8, 9. Cardinals 7 through 9 hitters tonight. 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts and a walk. DeYoung has punched out twice. The numbers on Yoshi this year, his 5th appearance. This, Bob, is something that Torrey has pointed out with the fans and media members and with us as well in terms of how he uses his bullpen. If you're in the 7th inning here and it's the lower parts of the order, maybe you go with Hirano. If it was the middle of the order right now, we'd probably be seeing Archie Bradley here. But Archie's flexibility gives Torey Lovullo the option to do that, to match up.
And if you happen to have a boatload of left-handed hitters at the bottom of the opposing lineup, it might be somebody else. Chafin, McFarland, or De La Rosa, one of the lefties out of the pen. Like Fedder's on the horn.
So if Yoshi can work through the bottom of the order here, you've got some of the big boys coming up, and presumably that would be Archie in the 8th. Yoshi with that low 90s fastball and that wicked split finger pitch. Here's the beard. Everybody bundled up down there in the bullpen out behind left field. 2-2 on the Cardinals shortstop Paul DeYoung. Got him. DeYoung strikes out for the 3rd time.
DeYoung is so geared to hit a fastball. He's just been flailing at off-speed deliveries all night. The slider from Robbie Ray down and in. This time a splitter from Hirano gets a swinging strike.
Third baseman, rookie Jairo Munoz. He's been up twice. He's struck out twice. For his major league career so far, 1 for 7 with 6 strikeouts. Jed Jerko on the DL, so it's Munoz at third. Pitcher spot due up for the Cardinals. After this, Greg Garcia is in the on-deck circle. And Garcia, the left-hand batter, as you mentioned. Diamondbacks have some lefty options down there, as does Mike Matheny. And there's one of them right now, Tyler Lyons, the left-hander in the Cardinal bullpen. But the bullpen for the moment is quiet for the D-backs. That split finger pitch. Here's Garcia in the on-deck circle.
We haven't really talked to Hirano about his splitter, but guys that have thrown it so effectively for as long as he has, some guys get to the point where they can put a little more finger pressure on the index finger or on the middle finger and make the ball not only go down, but move away from a right-handed hitter or down and into a right-handed hitter. Not sure if Hirano has that kind of command of the splitter, but I caught a few pitchers that were able to do that.
Yoshi Hirano, 34 years old, 11 seasons with the Oryx Buffaloes in Japan specifically. He's been one of Japanese baseball's top closers the last 5 years. In with a fastball that time, almost hit Munoz.
Oh, stop it.
This is the same youngster who 5 big league at bats into his career was backing out and shaking his head at umpire calls, and now he's glaring back at Hirano.
A pitch 2 inches off the inside corner.
So somebody's going to have a talk with this youngster. Full count, 3-2. I don't imagine that would have gone over too well in your day.
Well, it had gone over great.
All bets are off. Go ahead, have at it. You might have to wear 1 or 2. Jairo Munoz, only 23 years old. 3-2 pitch. Avila can't hang on to that tip. We'll keep going. Yoshi Hirano, 156 career saves in Japan, but now a major league rookie at the age of 34. 8th pitch on the way. Slowly into shortstop for Marte. They retire Munoz, 2 down.
I really think at some point before the season is over, somebody from the Diamondbacks PR staff needs to take Yoshi up north in Arizona to one of the Route 66 signs with his uniform on. I think that'd be good promo for both.
Using that marketing degree again. I like it. Get your kicks with number 66.
There you go.
Greg Garcia, left-hand batter, 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts on the year. Will hit for the pitcher. .93 on the fastball from Yoshi. 0-1. Garcia, a guy who plays all over the infield for Mike Matheny. Third base, second base, shortstop. And was most active last year as a pinch hitter. Just like he is right now. Popped up, foul ground, third base side. They'll give it a look. Avila's over there, and he's got it. Just shy of the camera well. A hug from Daniel Descalso. Yoshi works a 1-2-3 7th. It's 3-1 Diamondbacks. Park for the opener today against Tampa Bay. Hanley Ramirez's walk-off hit, or his teammates chasing him around the field to celebrate. Watch this.
That's as fast as I've ever seen Hanley run.
Maybe for the post-game spread, he's still running. There's nowhere to go. Red Sox in 12 innings beat Tampa Bay on a chilly day in the nation. 8th inning, left-hander Tyler Lyons on for the Cardinals. This is a busy guy. Usually you can give Mike Matheny 4 or more outs if he so chooses. Dyson leads it off. Pitcher spot behind him, John Ryan Murphy in the on-deck circle.
Yeah, Lyons a fastball slider pitcher and throws a lot of sliders. 62% of the time last year he threw that slider. Top of the zone with one right there.
Andrew Chafin is warming up in the D-back bullpen.
Now, 2 of the first 3 hitters up for the Cardinals in the 8th inning are left-handers, Dexter Fowler and Matt Carpenter.
And that would also let you flip Fowler around. So there is the sheriff. We've already seen one sheriff, and now we'll maybe see another. So Murphy will hit for Hirano. John Ryan Murphy, 2 for 9 with a home run. He homered in his start behind the plate Tuesday in the win over the Dodgers. And a couple of hits in that game, scored twice. This was John Ryan earlier this week into the bullpen at Chase Field. In the air along the right field line, drifting near the seats, Martinez. Boy, he's got the longest legs.
He kind of ran an S pattern after that pop-up in foul territory, but still almost got to it with those long arms and long legs.
That looked like somebody might do with the NFL Combine. We'll put some cones out there.
Run around the cones. He's headed straight for the tarp and then realizes that's a bad line. Oh,
too late. 1-1 on John Ryan. David Peralta, the leadoff man on deck. D-backs have out hit the Cardinals 8-2. They lead it 3-1 here in the home opener in St. Louis. That's a ball. Off day tomorrow. Back at it Saturday and Sunday. Zach Greinke pitches against Michael Waka Waka on Saturday. Taijuan Walker, Luke Weaver Sunday. The forecast here for Sunday is for 30 degrees and snow.
Lovely.
So, fingers crossed. Good thing we brought all those long johns. Swing and a miss. Lyons has his second strikeout. So off day tomorrow. They always have the off day after the home opener in case of weather problems. But then back at it Saturday for Greinke and Waka Waka.
Right, with the weather figuring to be what it will be on Saturday and Sunday, you get the feeling that runs are going to be at a premium.
That's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. David Peralta's had a terrific day. A walk, a pair of 2-out RBI hits. This one drifting into the seats and out of play. Let's play a numbers game here.
Okay.
It's okay right now. It's not terrible. No. A little chilly, but it's fine. Tomorrow, the high is supposed to be 52. That's the off day. Saturday, the high will be 42. Sunday, the high will be 39 with snow.
Just the way we like it.
Yeah, so it's just going to get worse every day. 0-1. Oh, that one caught Peralta.
Fortunately, a 78-mile-an-hour slider. David was able to turn away from it and take it kind of on the back of the arm.
Boy, if that was Munoz, he'd be charging the mound right now. Chance for Ketel Marte, who singled his last time up.
Lyons thrown a boatload of sliders since coming into the ballgame. This one just doesn't take the break.
Get that elbow out of there. David all smiles, thank goodness. As you always like to point out here, and it's always true, the Cardinal fans all dress in red, and for the most part the seats are all red. So it's always hard to tell how many people are here tonight for the home opener. Better than 46,000, but there's just red everywhere.
Marketing genius.
Never quite sure. Everybody wearing red jackets, red parkas, red sweatshirts. Or other things that are red. Red beads. It's like to sit behind those two guys. Can't see anything. Cardinals will have the top of the order due up in the bottom of the 8th inning. Fowler, Pham, Carpenter, 1, 2, and 3. Andrew Chafin is ready in the bullpen. Diamondbacks have 3 runs on 8 hits tonight. They've left 10 runners on base. Cardinals bullpen still busy. Jordan Hicks, the right-hander, down there. St. Louis has 2 hits. They've left 5. Strike 3, says Mike Malinsky. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Lions. D-backs lead at 3-1. This is a Target Field in Minnesota, the opener. There is an eagle flying around, part of the pregame ceremonies. He landed on Seattle pitcher James Paxton. The eagle got a little confused and went after Paxton with those talons right on the shoulder. And fortunately, it's a smart eagle landed on the right shoulder.
Yeah.
Because he's a left-hander. Well, that'd be a little scary, I think.
What are you supposed to do? You don't want to shoo the bird away.
Yeah, well, it's an eagle. It's a symbol. You can't do that. You got to stand there at attention and just let him maul you to death, apparently. The Sheriff, Andrew Chafin, his 4th appearance. Dexter Fowler, Tommy Pham, and Matt Carpenter due up here in the St. Louis 8th. Fowler drives one to left field. Peralta at the wall, and he's got it. Chilly night here in St. Louis. We've seen some loud outs out there, but everything has stayed in the yard. Adam Wainwright had a rough start off the DL to make this one. D-backs got 2 in the 2nd and 1 in the 4th against Wainwright. 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, and only 3 2/3. Tommy Pham, 0 for 3. Archie Bradley has started throwing in the D-back bullpen. Chafin working to the right hand, hitting Pham. You've got the left-hand batter Matt Carpenter on deck. And then after Carpenter, Ozuna and Martinez, both big right-hand hitters, along with Yadier Molina. So Archie getting ready just in case. He didn't go. They check with the crew chief Mike Winters at first. Chafin behind on Pham, 3 balls and 1 strike. Pham took an offer with 3 strikeouts on opening day against the Mets in New York, but he's hit safely in every game since, 5 in a row. Hitless so far tonight.
Yeah, that's been a common problem for the Cardinals in their 3 losses this year. They've been striking out a bunch. Only the Dodgers have struck out more in the National League than the St. Louis Cardinals.
Under the glove of Goldie, tried the backhander, and Pham with good speed reaches. And now the Cardinals get the tying run to the plate with 1 out in the 8th.
Goldie playing shallow down there at first base, respecting the possibility of a bunt from Tommy Pham, and the time he just shot it right by him.
Carpenter has walked his last 2 times up. He scored the only St. Louis run. No scoring decision as of yet on that play. E3 is the call, the error on Goldschmidt. Matt Carpenter has always been into discussion here with Mike Malinsky. A very selective hitter. Not happy with that last call. Carpenter only 2 hits in his last 19 plate appearances. Both hits were singles, but over that course he's walked 7 times.
Right out of the Will Myers school of hitting. No batting gloves.
Got to keep an eye on Pham. Very good speed at first.
Let's see if Carpenter breaks out the gloves Saturday and Sunday.
The mittens maybe. Pham 25 stolen bases last year. D-backs infield shifted over toward the right-hand side. Descalso, the 3rd baseman, standing in the shortstop spot. Lays off the breaking ball. It's a ball and a strike on Matt Carpenter.
That error by Goldie at first base, only the second error this season for the Diamondbacks. You may remember John Ryan Murphy had a throwing error in his start behind the plate.
Run prevention defense really important to this D-backs front office and coaching staff. This is a team that's going to catch the ball very well this year. Diamondbacks last time we played the Cardinals last year, 6 errors in the series. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Another close one here between these two. Last season, 7 games, 4 of them decided by 1 run. Two of the best teams in the National League last year, and likely again this season. Figures to be Chafin's last hitter. Bradley ready in the bullpen. Long check of Pham at first. Carpenter waves at another one. The sheriff, Andrew Chafin, strikes him out. 2 down.
Matt Carpenter just not identifying the spin on that slider. He checked a swing on 2 earlier in the sequence, ends up chasing 1 for strike 3.
They're going to bring in the Beard at Bush. Back after this. D-backs holding a 3-1 lead as we start this first road trip of the year. The numbers on Archie, his 5th appearance so far, a 1.69 ERA. 6 strikeouts against only 1 walk.
And this is what we've seen from Torey Lovullo all season long. He brings Archie in the highest leverage situation in the ball game, facing the toughest hitters in the opposing lineup.
2 outs in the inning. Pham at first after the Goldie error. And here comes their toughest hitter, Marcell Ozuna, who has one of St. Louis's 2 hits tonight, a single in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 3. The other was a Molina RBI double in the 4th. And as you said, he is not a patient hitter. He doesn't wait a whole long time to swing.
He's seen 5 pitches in 3 at bats so far.
Here's another one. 95 in on the hands. It's 0-1. Boy, it's nice that Torey Lovullo has a bullpen that is solid enough to manipulate things to save Archie Bradley for these matchups like the one he's in right now. They can turn it over to a Hirano or a Chafin or whomever. And then bring in the Beard. 96 at the knees. 1-1. Ozuna last year hit .312. Pham is back safely. 37 home runs. Knocked in 124 runs and won a Gold Glove. Not a bad year. So the Marlins figured, well, we better trade him.
Better get rid of him.
Yeah. So here he is in St. Louis. A dangerous hitter up there is the tying run with 2 outs in the 8th inning.
Ozuna singled back in the 2nd inning, was stranded, popped up to short in the 4th, hit a long fly ball to left field in the 6th, and both those balls hit in the air. He was just underneath them a little bit. Had the ball right on the barrel of the bat, but just skied it high in the air. Oh, nice stop that time.
Wow, Archie spiked one up there. Avila keeps it in front.
Yeah, notice how Alex didn't right away drop down to his knees and cover the 5-hole. Ball that hits that far out in front of home plate, you're probably going to block it with your mask or your chest protector up high.
Two and two on Marcell Ozuna. Called strike 3. 97. He dotted it right at the knees. We hit the 9th in St. Louis. 3-1 defense.
New York.
Good way to start off a 9-game road trip. A win in St. Louis in the home opener. Here to work tonight, the right-hander Jordan Hicks. His 4th appearance of the year. He's yet to give up a run.
Opponent's hitting only 111 against Cardinals right-hander.
He was an all-star in the minors last year in the Midwest League. One of the top 5 prospects in the Cardinals minor league system.
Average fastball so far this season for Jordan Hicks is right at 99.
Goldie leads off the 9th. A single his last time up, just his 2nd hit this year. 2 for 21. There's ball 1. 98.
Also has a hard slider that goes along with that high velocity fastball.
Yeah, from what I hear, a lot of Cardinal fans that follow the team really like Jordan Hicks. They're high on him. Now, with that kind of velocity, it's easy to see why. He has faced 723 batters in his professional career and given up 4 home runs. So he keeps it in the yard. Up the middle, DeYoung behind the bag from shortstop. Goldie 1 for 5, 1 down in the 9th.
I don't know whether it's because he's such a tall guy or his legs are so long, but it always looks like Martinez comes off the bag early down there at first base.
It does. You're right.
He kind of gets a running start to the throw and just barely keeps that foot on the bag long enough to record the out.
Well, he did come off the bag in the 4th inning, and they hung an error on DeYoung. It wasn't a great throw. But, yeah, there's something going on there with his footwork. Here's Pollock 0 for 4. 100 in on the hands. Yikes.
That one came to eat right there.
Yeah. AJ's going to, all right, now I know where we stand with this guy.
Recalibrate.
Yeah. Just gassing it up at 101. But he's behind 2 balls and no strikes. This is a name to watch. Jordan Hicks. 6'3", 205, only 21 years old. Another one at 101, right on the black. AJ looked back at Mike Malinsky. Hicks gets it, throws it. He's ready. AJ steps out. AJ's just, you don't want to get back in there. I don't blame him. Fights that one off down the line. That's a fair ball. Karams off the seats. Pollock takes the turn. Fowler picks it up, and AJ cruises into second with his 5th double this year.
Just get the barrel on it. It's going to be tough to pull 100 miles an hour consistently, so just make sure you get the barrel of the bat on the ball. Let it go wherever it goes. This one right down the right field line.
Chance to tack on a run here. Pollock is it safely in 6 of 7 to start the year. A mound visit for Hicks as the former Cardinal Daniel Descalso steps up. Descalso has walked twice and tripled tonight. He's 1 for 2. That one goes through Molina. AJ moves up 90 feet. 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Misguided fastball. When you throw it 100 miles an hour and miss your spot from one side of the plate to the other, very few catchers are going to be able to react quickly enough to get to that ball.
Well, as you said, you never expect a fastball to be in the dirt or be a wild pitch, right?
Should be around the target somewhere, you would think.
Nice to get this run home from third with 1 out. Infield in for the Cardinals. They'll have to make the out at first. DeYoung collects that, saves a run, and AJ has to stay put, 2 down. Well, there's the golden sombrero. That's 4 strikeouts. The platinum sombrero would be 5. And here is Alex Avila. 0 for 4. He's punched out 4 times. Pollock at third and 2 down. St. Louis in the bottom of the 9th inning. With Brad Boxberger warming up, we'll have Jose Martinez, Yadier Molina, and Paul DeYoung due up 5, 6, and 7 in the Cardinal 9th. On the ground to second for Carpenter. They can't get Pollock home. 9th inning in St. Louis. Boxberger ready to go. It's 3-1 D-backs. struck out 9. But Robbie completed 6 innings. And to this point, the Cardinals still only have 1 run on 2 hits. David Peralta, a couple of 2-out RBI knocks for the Diamondbacks. And it's 3-1 as Brad Boxberger is on to close this out. And this is the first time, Bob, Brad having worked the game yesterday afternoon against the Dodgers, that we see Boxberger in back-to-back games.
Yeah, when we talked to Torey Lovello at the beginning of the season, he thought Boxberger, at least initially, would not pitch more than 2 days in a row. Good thing there's an off day tomorrow. Hopefully Brad picks up the save tonight. Can enjoy his off day tomorrow and right back in the saddle again on Saturday.
Jose Martinez, Yadier Molina, Paul DeJong. Due up for the Cardinals, 5, 6, and 7 in the 9th. Martinez has walked twice, struck out. He's 0 for 1 tonight. Boxberger, low 90s fastball and a very good changeup. Misses with a pair of fastballs low and away. It's 2-0 on Jose Martinez. He's got a big strike zone up there at 6-6.
Hey, Yadier Molina in the on-deck circle. Just look back to that first base dugout where John Mabry, the hitting coach, gave him the changeup sign several times.
He's got a good one. Another fastball caught a seam there. Here's John Mabry. Mabry. That's in, says Mike Malinsky. The changeup misses. It's 3-1. Got some home run hitters coming up. You want to keep the tying run from getting up there at the plate. Keep Martinez off the bases. Fastball's a strike. Full count, 3-2. Boxberger got the save against the Dodgers yesterday. It was a little bit of an adventure. He walked 2 in the inning through 24 pitches, 13 strikes. Here it is on 3-2. Slapped away a fastball. Boy, he really expanded the zone that time. Day off tomorrow. We're back at it here Saturday. D-backs live pregame show at 10:30. Breakfast with the D-backs. Zach Greinke and Michael Waka Waka. Sunday, Taijuan Walker versus Luke Weaver. Chopped over the mound, over the glove of Boxberger, and this is going to be a tough play. And they get Martinez at first. Mike Winters, the crew chief, says he got him. He's hearing it from the Cardinal dugout.
Boy, another way speed shows up on the field. Now, this is not just raw speed. This is under control, so he can get to that ball, scoop and throw just in time to get the out at first base.
Chris Owings, a terrific play, the second baseman tonight. Oof. No challenge from the Cardinal dugout. 1 away from Molina, who had the RBI double in the 4th. Cardinals still with only 2 hits. Molina already with 3 home runs this year.
Boxberger's thrown a couple of those fastballs in the low 90s that seem to have some cutting action to them from time to time. Not sure if that's intentional or he just can't feel his fingers.
It's getting a little chilly now. Almost 10 o'clock local time. Little excuse me tapper. Descalso from third. 2 down. Paul DeJong, last man standing. Molina's RBI double in the 4th inning was their last base hit. DeYoung has been up 3 times and struck out 3 times. Jody Jackson standing by. D-backs live post-game show. Reaction from inside the clubhouse. D-backs trying to get off to a 6-1 start. A victory in the first road game of the year. Fastball's a strike, 0-1. DeYoung has hit safely in all 6 games this year, but hitless so far tonight. There's that changeup, 0-2. Fastball fouled away. Boxberger trying to nail down save number 3 in 3 attempts. Jairo Munoz, the rookie third baseman, on deck. 2 outs, 0-2 on DeYoung. Lays off the change that time. A ball and 2 strikes. For what we've seen, Brad out there, very measured, always in control. Never rushes, never looks rattled. Avila sets up away. Fastball missed. It's 2-2. Did he go? Yes, he went, says Mike Winters. Box him up. Brad Boxberger gets the save. The D-backs get the win in their first road game this year. 3-1 they win in St. Louis. And they match their pace from last season, a 6-1 start.
Well, always good to win the first game of the series, but especially when you can extend the opposition's bullpen, get a look at some of those relief pitchers in the first game of the series. Could pay dividends this weekend.
Only 2 hits for the Cardinals. That ties their fewest hits in a home opener since 1913. So it's been a while. The D-backs continue their winning ways. They have now won 4 in a row. Off to a 6-1 start to the year. The Clydesdales opening day here in St. Louis. The whole thing. Robbie Ray.